This episode of the BJJ Foxcast is brought to you by BioPro. BioPro is an all-natural alternative to prescription human growth hormone, which aids in recovery, anti-aging, metabolism, libido, immunity, skin health, cognition, sleep, and stress. Just one vial per day provides a substantial boost to all of these growth factors. Okay, so that's what they want me to say. Here's what I know as an aging grappler. I've been using BioPro Plus and the nighttime variant, BioPro Plus Cortisleep, for several months, and it feels like I've grown a third lung. My gas tank is noticeably bigger, my recovery is faster, and I'm back on the mats much quicker, not just between training sessions, but between rounds. Now you can get $30 off your first order of BioPro when you use the code FOXCAST at www.bioproteintech.com. That's code FOXCAST for $30 off your first order at www.bioproteintech.com. Thank you, BioPro. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the BJJ Foxcast. I am your host, Alex Martinez, and today, full house. We got Tojo, we got Aaron Wilson, and we got my man, Jake Watson. Welcome to the show, boys.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
What do I do with my hands?
It's like a spaceship. Oh, my gosh.
That was my one dad joke for the
Oh, you do have a swollen pinky. What's that all about?
Dude, I'm pretty sure I broke it like 2 months ago.
Yeah, that's broken.
Yeah, it just went
Oh my
better.
God.
Dude.
That looks disgusting.
Well, it matches my other one now.
You have two broken pinkies, dude?
So, dude, this pinky actually goes back far. The
Like since birth.
quarterfinals at Worlds 2014 at Purple Belt, it dislocated mid-match, and we got in a scramble. We went out of bounds. We got back to the middle, and the ref was just this Brazilian guy, and he had to look of disgust on his face, and he was like pointing at me. I'm like, what? Let's go. Like, come on. And he just pointed at my finger, and it was like facing the other way.
So gross.
So they were like, we either pop it back in or you keep fighting or you're DQ'd. And I was like, pop that bitch back in. And dude, it honestly, yeah, it's hurt for like a decade.
Holy crap.
No wonder you're angry.
Walking around with a hurt pinky all the time.
Just beaked up all this
Yeah.
all the time.
Jake, tell me about dad life.
Oh man. It is the
9
best
weeks?
thing. Any
Good
dad
segue.
can know.
Good segue.
Like that?
He's like, enough about that disgusting thing. Let's talk about the baby. No, it's great, man. I'll tell you this much. He was born 7 pounds, 8 ounces, 2:37 p.m. I woke up Sunday. He was born on November 12th at 7 a.m. to this. And I'm like, wake up. I look to my right. I'm like, are you okay? Are you going to be okay? And my wife is like pointing down at her contraction app, hyperventilating. I snap into action. I'm like making breakfast and I'm turning on the bath. I'm like trying to remember this freaking waste of money birthing class that we bought for $250 that nothing happened on. It was an absolute waste of freaking time. But ever since I saw my son come into the world at my life and everything, that all my priorities, all my thoughts, my energy level, my productivity, it's all changed in the blink of a moment. And it is the coolest freaking thing. I literally am living my dream every single day.
Nice, man.
It
nice.
is.
Well, you've been changing your formula since she got pregnant, right? Because I noticed you jumped a lot into like getting out there with all sorts of different events, right?
You know what? I was really jumping up in busyness like towards like the end of the pregnancy. Just I don't know how. I always trying to hustle. But now even Flow Grappling is like really working with me. Like they understood, okay, you're gonna take a little bit of time off and then you'll come back in.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I 2024 I want to try to push as hard as I can towards getting my actual goal, which my goal is to make the commentary and the broadcasting my full-time career.
Nice.
You know what I mean? And that's why I'm here on the BJJ Foxcast.
You're damn right you are. You're damn right you are.
So I can put myself out there. UFC, if you're watching, I'm a great replacement for one of the lower tier guys on the show.
That's a good segue right there. UFC Fightpass.
UFC Fightpass, my man, Aaron
About
Wilson.
a month ago, was it?
About a
At
month
this
ago.
point?
Now, we
Yes,
tried. How many times did we try to have Aaron on the show and he big timed us?
Every single time.
Big time then?
Like
dude?
big time.
Every other day.
Guys, I don't have time for you. Hey, we got to get that off the table.
Listen, I didn't get that thing off there.
Yep.
I didn't big time you guys. I also have a child, and that's just the way it goes sometimes.
I'm a dad too, man.
Dude, we were going crazy because, like, tell me about the rule set is a little different. I don't know that I hate it. I don't know that I love it either, because it sets you up for a lot of energy and a lot of action towards the end of the match.
Well, I don't want to say too much about it because I want to also go back on that show.
Yeah.
But you could see there was a lot of people that complained about it after the fact.
Yeah.
Tom DeBlas made a big post about it. Mo Joseph himself said there'll never be another hybrid ADCC rule set allowed. So it was an interesting rule set. Even during the rules meeting, we were all kind of looking around like, do you get it? We're like, yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't understand how I was down. I mean, after the fact, kind of understand, but yeah, you saw guys that were dominating the match that were somehow losing.
They need to qualify that a little bit better, like the what's it called, the non-combativeness or whatever they called it. There was where people were actively working and they were still like, move.
Yeah.
Well, when you're in the mount position, what else do you want? I mean, you're going for subs from the mount. You're not stalling in mount.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I guess that's what really got me going.
It's happened a few times too at the ADCC Opens that I've done, where I was like actively working to pass and like really implementing like a good like pressure passing knee cutting game, and the refs are like action, and I'm like looking at them like, dude, what do you mean action? I'm trying to pass, and they're yelling at me, and then all of a sudden now I'm disengaged, and now I'm trying to do some like fancy run by pass or like a flip over them or something just to like get them off my back, but like. If you really want to implement like knee slicing and an underhook and a pressure and cutting down the hip and like that stuff takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, it's not super pleasing to watch, but it's like that's how you pass guard at a high level.
Yeah.
You watch Lucas the Pre pass guard, you watch Tinquino pass guard. It's not super like interesting or fun to watch, but it works, right?
It's effective. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I get what they're trying to do, but it just comes off as like that, that stereotypical UFC fan who's like, stand them up. It's just like you come off as like a guy who doesn't know what jiu-jitsu is about.
I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it easier to digest for people that don't do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I think that what they're trying to do is what we're seeing right now, especially with super fight shows, with bigger tier tournaments, with all this stuff. We're seeing they think that the best way to grow the sport, which they're not necessarily wrong, is to make it exciting so that more people will want to engage with the sport, more people want to watch the sport. But jiu-jitsu, and you guys know this as people who have been training in the gi, training in no gi, gym owner, it's always more about the student than it is about the athlete. The sport is about the athlete, but the progression of the art and people doing it to even make it popular is about the student and about the gym owner.
Yeah.
So with tournaments, now you have this weird impasse where like they have to make it exciting every single match, but that's hard.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think the ADCC refs are just trying to like push the action. And also I think that, Mo is a pretty big personality to work for too. You don't want to be that ref that like didn't call action and then you're on the back end of an Instagram post.
I think ultimately ADCC is doing the right thing though. I think
Absolutely.
they have the best rule set. That first half of no points, just go. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like I think that alone, I think pushes a lot of that action for that uneducated fan, right? But I think they're going to run into the same thing as like with the UFC, like over the past couple decades, where like the fans have gotten more educated in what MMA is. They're going to have the same thing with jiu-jitsu, like for the uneducated fan.
Here's what's cool, and I want to hear your opinion about this. What's cool about the ADCC rule set is that it naturally guides and progresses towards a more exciting style. If you get your guard pass, you get taken down. Going to turtle negates it.
Right.
And it also opens up the ability for you to get your back taken.
Yep.
So if you get a takedown, they go to turtle, you go to the back. It's a natural flow of exciting transitions and scrambles.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing about the ADCC rule set. And Mo has even said that. When I was at ADCC Worlds in 2022, he gave this big rules meeting beforehand, like he always does. And that's one of the things he said, like, hey, this progresses to like you have the ability to finish the match. And I think that is objectively more exciting. I'd rather watch that than watch, I'm sorry, but Jonathan Alves like body lock somebody and hold them for 3 minutes.
Right.
Like I don't want to watch that. I want to watch somebody get their, almost get their back taken. And I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts about that though.
Yeah, I think anytime that you're going to make it super hard to score like that, and guys can't turtle up, you're going to create scrambles that are ultimately going to lead to like big action and a lot of fun. So, and I've been in there against some good guys in that rule set where, any other rule set I would have had points, but in that rule set I didn't have it going. So, it's definitely another layer to it, and you really have to train that rule set leading into it. To be effective and to even have a chance, because it's its own beast,
Yeah.
I do like the opens, it being 3-3. I really like shorter matches in general. I think that creates more excitement in like a wrestling match length. I think that's appropriate. I think when you start getting to like 10 minutes or 15 minutes for matches, you're going to have boring matches or guys trying to save what's in the gas tank because they got more time left.
Yeah.
I think if we shorten the matches and let people just go balls to the wall, I think that would be more exciting as well.
Yeah. And there's the one thing that, I mean, you're the wrestler boy here for sure. Like, and I've talked about this before.
Yeah, he's right.
What are you talking about, dude? I don't wear
USA Wrestling. He's already got the shirt on. One of the rules that I think we've talked about it on the podcast before, that I think that would make, and maybe I'm biased, with that penalty for the guard pull. It ends up like I at the Phoenix Open that we were watching, it was just a bunch of people trying to initiate takedowns who have no business doing takedowns, and it just ends up defeating the purpose of like wanting this exciting match. You just have these two guys sumo wrestling because none of them know how to do takedowns. I'm like, it would be more exciting to have one guy pull guard and start attacking the ankles or whatever. Because I mean,
well, that's what you do in the first 3 minutes if you're that guy.
Right.
That's your time.
I agree.
Yeah,
but like be penalizing them for pulling guard actually, I think prevents the action from happening.
Let me give you this perspective. Maybe people should get better at wrestling.
Yes, 100%.
Here's
100%.
Because if you're going to compete in the rule set, you know, if I don't submit this guy in the first freaking, let's say regulation, because I pull guard. Like, I don't go to ADCC with any freaking unrealistic expectations of what I can do.
Right.
I pull guard, and then if it's overtime, then I'm just like, you know what? Time to roll the dice and do that arm drag double leg,
Tojo, is it that difficult to have a rule set that helps out wrestlers? Just one.
Like one. You mean like every rule set?
You mean all of them?
The IBJJF rule set does not help out wrestlers.
I don't think it does.
What do you mean? You get the 2 for taking them down.
Yeah, you get the 2 for taking them down, but I can pull guard with like a halfway sort of I grab.
And all they have to do is like touch your foot, and then they get the points. Though.
Okay, but how many wrestlers are going to tap the foot? No, they're going to be in their freaking nice, pretty stance.
Dude, the
IBJJF. They're going to intimidate me.
The IBJJF turned me into a guard puller over the years.
Wait, did you just say you're a guard puller?
I was, dude. Do you not remember at
Do you not know that
Mr.
that's
Wilson,
not okay right now?
At brown belt, that's all I did.
Yeah.
At brown belt, that's all I did. I pulled guard, I went collar sleeve, and I got submissions. That was my game. I did pretty well with it, but yeah, I mean.
Yeah, but how does it feel to know that you betrayed your USA Wrestling?
I'm not going to make a video like Aljo for sure.
Dude, that was pretty.
But there's such a big emphasis on footlocks right now. Like, and that's a guard puller's game a lot for the majority of that, right? And you have like people idolizing, like whole teams idolizing like New Wave and the B team, right? Which are, I mean, they all have takedowns, but like a lot of them just want to fucking sit down on their butt and attack the feet, right? That's guard puller game, unfortunately, right? So it's kind of like
that's what makes jiu-jitsu fun, is you have the contrasting styles. I mean, that's fun. That makes MMA fun as well. You could be very like I feel like I'm a pretty decently well-rounded grappler, by all accounts, but my wrestling, my passing is so much better than my leg game. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you could be well-rounded, but you're still just that much better at something. And then you get 2 guys that have contrasting styles. It makes for fun. So
well, I mean, I think it'd be cool to like give them an extra point then for the takedown. But if they want to pull guard, there's no penalty.
Well, if you do a takedown and you end up in side control, you do get 2 extra points.
Right.
You get called a, what is it called? Is it called a complete takedown or? It's called a.
And then they have the one where if you put them up in the air, it's 4 points.
What
right?
rule set are you talking about?
In ADCC, we're still talking about ADCC rule set.
Yeah.
So if I take them down, that's 2 points, but I have to get 75% of their shoulders on the mat.
Right.
So that's also not helping out wrestlers.
That's very hard to do.
That is incredibly hard. You got to do like an inside trip and end up in closed guard, and for that to happen, right? But. And then if you end up in side control, like for instance, PJ Barch, JT Torres, gets his big double leg, lands in side control, 4 points.
Beautiful.
Right. And that was the first time JT Torres got scored on in 10 years at ADCC.
Wow.
Right.
It was
such a freaking cool moment, dude. Like,
it was crazy.
Yeah, because I was calling it. Like, I'm telling you right now, PJ Barch is going to beat JT Torres. And people thought I was crazy. I'm like, dude, no, you don't understand. I've been on 3 cards with this guy this year, and he's won 10 grand every time and smoked all these really high-level guys. Like, he is super legit. And it was cool to see him. Because he's a pretty cool dude. It was cool to see him get that win. Because I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah. And I think the reason people are saying that is because he had struggled at the East Coast trials in the semifinals, but he made it to the semifinals.
So who did
that
he
year
lose to?
Isn't that
semis?
easy?
Oh man, I think
I know him and Cody had the 3rd place match, right?
Yeah, the 3rd place match. It was either because Will Tackett fought Cade Ruotolo, and then whoever fought Cade Ruotolo in the final.
I think he lost to Cade at East Coast.
Are you sure it wasn't William Tackett that lost to Cade?
It may have been.
I'm not a ADCC encyclopedia.
It's my weight class. I should know that.
You watch your mouth, dude.
Sorry, dude.
No, but going back to the ADCC, so I mean, I will say that the leg locks do, just going back to that point, they do seem to dominate a lot of the, I'll say, metagame of jiu-jitsu, right? Like the thing that people are doing the most. But we're also seeing this turn. We were talking about Nikki Ryan, Elijah Dorsey a little bit downstairs a minute ago, and how Elijah really just broke that wide open with just a real solid wrestling fundamentals.
Yeah.
Just real honest pass attempts back and forth, just keeping the pace on Nikki. Nikki eventually got tired, like he typically kind of struggles in the most high-level matches that he's had, at least. Seems like it's a cardio issue. I think that people are going to implement more of that game plan. And as time goes on, we're going to see a shift. Because for a while, heel hooks were big, and then it seemed like they were starting to kind of go away a little bit because people were starting to figure them out. And then more stuff comes out, and that's just the ebb and flow of jiu-jitsu.
I'd be interested to know what your guys' opinions on this, because you guys play in these rule sets with the leg lock game. What do you think is easier to learn? Leg lock defense or learning to implement leg locks?
Ooh. I would say defending.
Yeah, I would say defending too.
I think
it's
so too.
hard to learn how to do.
And I think that's why I think there's going to be a big shift, because I was talking to Josh before the ADCC last year, and he was and I was talking to him about that, like, leg locks are big, and I know he doesn't really play that game a lot. And he was like, all I'm learning, like, he's like, it's pretty easy to learn how to defend like a leg lock, right? And I was like, that's a good point. I
would say, like, just in I don't want to hit a lot of leg locks in competition.
Yeah.
I do get some, but the breaking mechanics and being able to finish a leg lock on another high level guy, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Because you get to a certain point, guys, if they're not good at leg locks themselves, they're good at defending them. So I would definitely say it's probably much easier to learn how to defend them.
Yeah, I would.
Well, you kind of have
that.
You have to have an understanding of how to execute them in order to defend them properly, right? Like, you got to understand what they need in order to defend them.
Here's what you do. You call up Adrian Nez and you say, dude, I suck at leg locks. And I'm doing an EBI tournament coming up. Can you help me out? And
Hey,
you just have Adrian Nez heel hook you for about 4 months, and all of a sudden you get good at it.
Right. Yeah.
Shout out to Adrian. That guy is I've been saying it, he is a hidden gem, dude. That guy is so good.
Yeah.
Dude, I was so proud of him at ADCC trials.
Yeah, and he has wins. People don't realize, like, if you made a list of like the top 10 guys that he has wins over, it's an impressive list. Like, he's beaten some guys. So, man, I hope he can put it all together and have another good showing, and maybe even sneak in. I feel like he's really at that level with those guys, and depending on what weight he goes, I think he has a good chance.
If he had like a good sponsor behind him, he could go to one of those ADCC trials in Europe or one of those places, and he could take it. Like, he legitimately, I think he could, man. He lost to what's the guy who always wins? He wins every single time. He's always in the under 99 kilo division. Paul Ardilla. He lost to Paul Ardilla at East Coast trials. It's like everybody loses to Paul Ardilla though, and he looked so good. I think that he could even be a little like a lower weight class.
Well, when he did that the last time at the East Coast trials, he made it to the final 8. He lost to the Bellator guy, wrestler.
Sadler?
No, I'm going to butcher it. He lost to him in the round of 8, but before that, he hit that standing backside entry from the single leg on J-Rod and submitted him. I don't know if you remember that.
No.
People don't realize, like, he hit J-Rod with that, and it was super slick. And then a few months later, J-Rod won the West Coast trials at that weight,
Wow.
And Nez went up. He ended up losing to, who's the El Monstro guy again?
Yeah, Elder Cruz.
He lost to Elder Cruz. It was a really close match. He ended up beating Elder Cruz like 2 months later at a different show. But, I mean, Nez was right there in the mix, dude.
He's Mr. Zapatero, dude. He's always going to the Zapatero Invitationals and killing it down there.
He likes those ones.
Yeah,
Huh?
he's down at Josh LeDuc's show in Florida.
I'd love to do one of those, man.
Hey, it's awesome, man. He's a great promoter. He's a great dude.
Yeah, I know John Combs is there quite a bit doing those ones.
Yeah, John Combs sort of a nomad nowadays. He like travels around a lot. And
yeah,
I always see him at all the different terms. Like, hey man, where you living? He's like, dude. It's like, well,
he's seriously the nicest guy though, man.
He's great.
He's a great dude.
He guillotined me, and I'll never forgive him. But
he hit me with the same thing,
dude. And it's tight. It's a weird guillotine too.
Dude, it was
Anyway,
vicious.
Well, so tell me about the guillotine. I got to know about the guillotine.
You want to hear about the time I lost?
He calls it the Commentating.
Yeah, that was actually my first commentary opportunity. I fought him at the Jits King Invitational in 2020 in Florida, and it was first round. And my whole game plan was don't sit up and close guard because he will jump over you and guillotine you. And then we had a great match. I was trying to get under the leg, and it was close. And I didn't feel like I was outclassed. I felt like eventually I was going to get my opportunity. But then he did this motion, and he like faked, and it got me to sit up because I bit on it. And then he like freaking so fast, he guillotines me, and I'm stuck. And then it was that time I went upstairs, and I was so upset because I wanted to win so bad that I actually cried because, and it was a really stressful trip. I left my wallet and my credit cards and my keys all in Arizona at the airport on accident. I had to go to Western Union. My parents had to help me out. It was a freaking nightmare of a trip.
Sounds like a scam.
Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah, right.
But then a guy got up to use the restroom in the middle of commentary, and I was like, "Hey man, can I commentate while you're up using the restroom?" And he was like, "Yeah, totally." And then I started getting calls after that.
How
and
wild.
Then, oh, yeah. And then Third Coast Grappling called me. And then EUG Promotions called me. And then all of a sudden, Floor
Third Coast
Grappling
still a
was
thing?
calling me. No.
Yeah, they went under, huh?
Well, their rule set was not very good.
Yeah, I remember they did like this like battle royale thing with kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, that was the
Yeah,
one
it
with
was the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, where they would have a kid and like every like 30 seconds they'd have another kid come in and there'd be like 3 kids grappling and like you would just come in and like, oh, I'm gonna jump on this kid's back.
Yeah.
It was like really fucking weird.
I really hope we're at a point in jiu-jitsu where tag team jiu-jitsu is completely just phased out.
Yeah, it was fucking
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You can't knock the guy for trying to be innovative.
yeah.
He really was throwing every idea out
Yes,
there.
and on top of that, the Bo Nickel Gordon Ryan thing, that to this day is shared on pages nonstop. Like that was actually a really cool concept. And you know, how cool is it now? Like obviously Gordon's the GOAT, and then Bo Nickel probably going to be a UFC champion within 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just I geeked out over that. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah. I remember I saw the clip of Gordon getting suplexed, and I thought that's how the match went. And I was like, "There's no way." And then I look and I see that Gordon, did whatever he wanted. And I was like, "Okay,
Everything's right with the world.
everything is right with the world." I was like, "There's no freaking way. That's crazy."
So what do you have lined up for commentating coming up?
I'll be at Who's Number 122, which is Victor Hugo versus Nick Rodriguez, and then I'll be the MC / commentator for the Flow Grappling IBJJF Nogi Grand Prix.
Okay.
Which is really awesome.
Are they still doing it like in a different room? They're going to have the tournament and that goes on in a different...
Is February 29th, and is that going to be... Because I know that I don't even know if it's February 29th. It's like end of February.
Yeah.
But I am going to compete at the LA Open that
Okay.
same weekend. So
Okay.
I'll go and do a tournament for the first time. I've been really like planning out when I can do the tournament. I was going to compete at the February 10th tournament, but...
There's not one adult signed up for that yet. I looked yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately. What weight? Because you're looking... Is that why the jacket came off? Are you
The
trying
jacket
to-
came
are you
off
trying to flex
because
right now, dude?
the jacket came off
The
to
ink
promote
looks fresh
the name
too, by
above
the
all
way.
names, but also... you say what?
The ink looks fresh too.
Thanks, dude. No, it's not fresh. It's about 4 years old.
It,
But
could have
It looks good.
that's because I have really painfully white skin.
A perfect canvas.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm actually. So I have been really taking my strength and conditioning very seriously. For the first time in my life, I've been taking my diet seriously, and I figure it's great timing because there's no way I can possibly take my sleep seriously right now. because
Yeah,
of the baby.
dude, yeah.
So everything else is coming around, and I'm walking around about 220 right now.
Okay.
So I'm when I last was competing avidly, I was walking around about 185. So I've actually been like filling into a sort of a natural heavier weight.
Yeah.
Are you trying to stay at super or are you trying to go down?
Shoot, dude, I'm really enjoying lifting and I'm enjoying eating. It's not fun to eat. It's not fun to eat.
Hey, me too.
But like the kind of eating I'm doing is not like, oh, I'm just eating whatever I want. It's like I'm eating 300 grams of protein a day.
Oh.
And it's a chore.
That's
It is
hard to
so
do, man.
hard. And I'm
It's-
doing it every single day and I'm
Yeah.
hitting it and my wife is supportive of it. My dad even first of all, shout out to my dad. Have you met my dad?
Oh yeah.
Okay. My dad at my wedding, and I'm going to say this because it's amazing. At my wedding, he was 374 pounds. My dad was very, very unhealthy.
How tall?
5'10",
Okay.
built like a hamburger.
Yeah.
Now he is 270 pounds. He has
Hey.
lost 100
Holy
pounds,
shit.
and he is still going.
Good
and
for
he
him.
outfitted his garage into a gym, and it's the dungeon. That's just where I
Does
go
he
lift,
train,
man.
or-
I love it.
No, maybe one day. But he actually did. When I first started, I was at a little Taekwondo gym, and he trained a little bit too. But my dad broke his back when he was 18 years old, and he never did anything about it. He just kind of recovered, and
Yeah.
and so he's just kind of like trying to be healthy so that he can be 72 and still walking.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
before the podcast, we were talking about coaching, and it's like it's so cool to see that transformation. Because like I grabbed a belt from you in A3 from for one of my students who, when he started with us, he's transferred as a blue belt from a different school. He was like pushing 270-ish, 260. Now he's almost under 200 pounds.
That's incredible.
That's
yeah,
the
he has
most-
his belt, and it's just like hanging
That's
off
the
of him.
most rewarding thing about instructing in the sport is seeing people that make like really big lifestyle
changes.
changes.
Yeah.
And it's great that they can use jiu-jitsu as a tool.
Yeah.
Like
It's
that,
shout out to
Cool,
Joey.
man.
Joey
You
put in
didn't
the
tell
work.
me it was Joey.
I did tell you. You just
No,
don't
you
listen.
didn't. I don't listen.
We have a student at our gym, Aaron Ellertson. He came in. He used to own a pawn shop, and he just, he really threw so much food into his mouth. 350 pounds. Now he is a 195.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice.
He lost. He just threw himself at jiu-jitsu. He was doing 2 days every day lifting. Now he has abs and he has like veins popping. It's like whoever this guy is not the same guy that walked in this gym.
That's so cool.
You know what I mean? It was pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah.
It is rewarding.
It's
man.
really freaking cool. You know Moshi, right?
Yeah, of course.
Big Moshi. He
Yeah.
was over. I think he was over 300 pounds, and now he's. You see pictures of him with his family, and he just looks like he's the oldest. He looks like the youngest. He's just tiny.
Yeah.
He's lost so much
I mean,
weight.
you're
I gotta pour my mystery beverage.
literally adding years to your life. Like
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So Jake, I have a question for you. You said you're doing the LA Open.
Yes.
So
Well, I want to.
well,
I
wait,
really
what's-
want to.
What's the weight? Super heavy?
Yeah, I'll probably do super heavy because I'm doing a bulk right now, and then I'm going to do a cut afterwards.
What kind of names would you be looking at now? Is that like Italo's division or Orlando's division? Because those are guys.
I think
that
Orlando's
know.
still heavy.
He's still heavy.
Yeah,
Okay.
Orlando. I haven't seen him put on like a whole bunch of muscle, but Orlando's heavy. I think Italo's might be super heavy.
Well, Orlando just had a kid. Is he still?
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah,
Orlando
congratulations to
Montero.
him. Yeah.
Gosh.
Is he still on it then, or is he?
Remember
gonna
when he was a
step out?
16-year-old blue belt
Yep.
coming
God, yeah, right.
as a father,
Well, like
gym owner, and
Wild, dude.
In Hawaii.
yeah, he's
all those
dude,
young kids. Man.
I got to get out there and see him, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I mean, I don't know if you know, but like I know you two know, like little Luis, man, like he was like a little tiny kid when we first met him, and now he's an asshole adult.
Dude, he literally, you can't heel hook him.
Yeah,
I had
he's
to
super
think- I had
flexible,
to
hyper
spin all the
flexible.
way around, and he was just like laughing. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're a sicko.
he rolled with Ramsey the other day, and Ramsey's like he armbars everybody at Paul's, and I talked to Luis after class, and he's like, Ramsey tried to armbar me. And he's like, you have this like attitude. I'm like,
It had a sass.
not everybody knows that you can't be armbarred.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Does he have like really flexible
He's
joints?
just hyper
Yeah.
flexible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
everything.
got you.
I was coaching him. It was he was a kid, and we were doing American Nationals. Man, it had to be like 2017 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And his face and his butt were both in the same direction. I was like, how is that possible? He was twisted up, and he was like this, like, that Luis face.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. He was bored. Beat the guy. But, I mean, the guy's trying everything to twist Luis up, and
That's
no
crazy.
problem.
That makes me squeamish.
Yeah.
For sure. Whenever I see that kind of stuff.
I know, but I still see it, and I'm like, oh my god, that hurts. That hurts just to look at.
No, the hardest thing for me is coaching and watching people get into like leg locks and stuff. And like, I mean, some guys are super flexible and they just get out of it. And like the whole time, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I can't look at it.
Yeah.
Like it literally is like causing me like sympathy pains. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is disgusting.
Yeah.
I do that. I go
Yeah.
out there. That's disgusting. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any knee injuries or anything like that?
Oh, the biggest injury I ever had was my ankle. It's messed up to this day. It was Fight to Win 93.
Which ankle?
This one.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, the one I'm holding? Fight to Win. See, that's how things go over my head. Fight to Win 93. I fought Roberto Jimenez in the co-main event for the brown belt Fight to Win title. And I was doing really good, actually. I was in the lead. I think it was like 3 minutes left. And then I locked 50-50, but I made the mistake of locking my foot under, like all the way, not being responsible with the possibility of a toe hold.
Yeah.
This dude reaches back and just twists my foot in one fluid motion just off of my shin. And it popped. And I remember being so shocked because I was like, the pain just shoots up my leg. But I thought, I'm going to defend it because I don't want to lose. I want to win the title.
Yeah.
And then it kept going, and it went from like the rest of the way. It's not supposed to go this far already, Jake, but you need to calm down.
Bad.
It was great.
How good is he right now?
Oh, he's on it.
It's insane.
He had kind of a dip. He was doing real good, and then I think he fought a bunch of guys. Maybe he didn't really like the lower weight class because when he was at ADCC 2022, Roberto the Natural was 77 kilos.
Right.
My dude's walking around like 92 kilos.
Is he still like was he vegetarian? Am I wrong?
I don't know
about that?
what he is. All I know is he's a freak.
He looks big now.
He's a little...
Now he pulled out of the combat jiu-jitsu here in Tucson. I wonder if he was hurt or what. But I was looking forward
Could
to
be.
seeing. I was looking forward to seeing him in that rule set. I really like. Well, he's one of the guys I like watching the most, just because, man, his pace. It's
dude.
unmatched. It's crazy how he gets in there, and he's just.
He's an interesting guy,
He
too.
overwhelms the guys he goes against, they're just fighting the whole time, like to keep up. Like
Wow.
they're trying to keep their head above water, and he's just like this way, that way, this way, that way. Like it's so fluid, and he doesn't stop until he gets what he wants.
Wow.
If you watch Roberto Jimenez's matches, what he mostly does is very fundamental, like his guard passing, for instance. Every time he guard passes a no-gi, at least at the IBJJF no-gi worlds, it's double under to force you to roll, double under to force you to turtle, and then he'll take your back. Double under, force you to turtle. Okay, take your back, or I'll do a little pressure pass to the side. That'll make you turtle. It's always making you turtle. It's either a knee smash to the side, make you turtle, or double under.
Working his way to the back, right?
Yeah, and he did the same thing to Roosevelt. Only thing with Roosevelt is I think Roosevelt really should not have gone for that armbar. Now, it looked like he was going to get that armbar on the back. It really did. I mean, I was like, dude, Roberto's about to get his arm broken. But in doing that, I think he burned himself a little bit because both of them had all those matches leading up to the absolute.
He went for it, dude.
Yeah.
He went for it, but at the same time, like, man, you're in the absolute final and you have someone's back. I'm going to at least take a deep breath. You know, I'm at the very least. If I'm going to pull the trigger, I'm at least going to go, you know, really like do that. I'm not just going to fire from the hip. You know, he shot from the hip, man. And all credit to Roosevelt. He was trying to be exciting and he was trying to make it happen, but not against Roberto, dude. You cannot let that kid breathe.
Another point against that. Like, it trying to be exciting, trying to, like, you know, be consumable. It's like, well, then you see a lot of sloppy jiu-jitsu out there too, even from high level guys.
Yeah. I think that jiu-jitsu is meant to be effective at the end of the day. And my coach always used to say this. I used to be like, André, man, like I don't want to be like boring either. Yeah. And he's like, Jake, if you're in the final of the world championship and you win the world championship by a half of an advantage, it's not going to have an asterisk next to your name.
Nobody gives a shit.
No one's going to remember in 10 years that you even won. Yeah. Okay. So it's not, and this is what Andre's like, listen, Jake, he's very realistic with me. He's like, you're nervous about a game that 1% of the world cares about.
Yeah. Like, or less, right?
Like, it's a game, dude. What's going to happen? You're going to go home and you're going to be upset that you lost a game. Go out there and have fun, and you'll do better, you know? And I would go out there, have fun, I do freaking better. It's like magic, right? Like, his advice is really, really good. But I mean, I think I agree, but I also, like, I understand the point of making it exciting. Like, competitors like Aaron, easy to market. And I'm not just saying that because he's here. Great wrestling style, and he's going for the submission the entire time. Looks a little angry when he's grappling, so you got, like, a nice picture sometimes.
He looks angry all the time. Yeah.
Look at him.
I'll be honest, dude. I'll be honest, dude.
It's just my face.
I'll be honest, dude. You do look pretty pissed when you fought Tristan Signs at that ADCC. I think it was the Denver Open.
Oh no, that was Dallas.
Dallas, dude. You look pissed the entire match.
Yeah. Well, I was.
He's a nice kid, though.
He is. Well, he was doing some antics.
Well, I didn't see what he was doing. All I know is I saw across the way. I was like, oh, the beak is out, dude.
So they put like a whole highlight out on that, and the entire time is just me stuffing the kid's takedowns. But that's a highlight for him, I guess. And then we scrambled and went out of bounds, and he pushed me, so I pushed him back, and then he pushed me in my face, and his whole family's right there. I don't know, this kid's like 17 or something. But I'm like, I'm right here, dog. Like, we can go in the middle mat and do this. I'm right here. Like, whatever. But, I mean, he's game. It's cool. Yeah. He's got a bright future. He's a stud. Yeah. But I honestly, if somebody gets chippy with me, I'm getting chippy right back. Yeah. But that's just the culture I grew up in wrestling, and I don't know. Maybe I got
MMA a little bit too.
Chip, yeah, MMA, a little chip on my shoulder. My style. It's unique to me.
What's your favorite organization
to compete under?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
whatever one pays, baby.
The UFC Fightpass Invitational.
Assuming they all give you $1 million.
It was super cool to take a shower at the UFC Apex. I'll just say that. It's the little things, you know. You're just like, oh, I'm sharing a locker room with Jonas Gracie. And
he's never going to give us an honest answer, is he? Okay, never mind.
There's Andre Galvao coming in. Like, it was just like, this is so cool. Yeah. I'm like taking a shower at the end in there, and I'm like, look down on the floor mat, and it says UFC Apex. I was like, how the hell did I get here?
Well, since I imagine it's within your best interest to not say which one's your favorite, tell us what the experience at the UFC Fightpass Invitational was like. Because I wanted to, dude, I've been lobbying to get on a UFC Fightpass card as a commentator for like ever, and it's so hard to break into it. I'm talking to Brandon McCatherine like all the time.
I told Brandon McCatherine, you're my favorite announcer. Do not tell Jake Watson that.
And then but he was waiting for the BJJ Foxcast.
That's right. Yep.
This is the moment.
Hey, I'll get into my Fight Pass experience, but how great is Brandon?
Dude, Brandon McCatherine is, so I really want my ADCC 2024 experience because I'll be commentating at the T-Mobile Arena, which is awesome. Huge opportunity.
That's going to be sick.
I want to commentate with him, dude, because there's something about the way he's like, all right, man, we're here at the ADCC, and it's going to be a great show, and, man, I'm just so excited, you know, and he is just a freaking ball of energy, and he's a lovely human being. He's doing a lot of work with Aiga, too, but he's great because I have the tendency to get real excited, like real ramped up, which I feel like the sport needs. We don't need more golf commentators.
Right.
We need some excitement. He's able to dial it back at a key moment, and even though something exciting happening, he's able to explain it and able to keep going, you know? And he also, one thing a lot of commentators don't know how to do that I notice he knows how to do. If I'm talking, he doesn't talk.
Yeah.
He makes sure to keep it like this. I run sometimes I'm doing this because I'm inexperienced too. I feel like I have a lot of talent, but not a lot of polish. Yeah, I need to keep on polishing, you know? He's very polished. At the ADCC trials where Jacob Couch fought Elder Cruz and heel hooked him, that was freaking beautiful, by the way. K-guard from close guard into an outside heel hook. It doesn't get cleaner than that.
Yeah, sick.
I start I'm like, Jacob Couch is going to the Timo. He starts, and he was talking before, and he stopped. And then waited until I was done, and then boom, he goes right away. And I listen back to the soundbite, and I'm like, dude, that is good.
Yeah.
That's broadcasting experience right there.
And that's experience, dude.
That's
He's
experience.
been doing it for a long time.
Do you know where he got to start? Like how did he get
He's a
started?
big 10th Planet personality.
Okay.
You got to have him on.
Yeah,
I think
love
I'm going
to.
to do his PGF in Vegas in a few months,
I might be there too.
dude.
Not competing.
But we'll hang out.
Well, do we need to hang out?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty sick.
We need to go have more of these
He's
mystery
kind of
beverages.
teasing about how it's going to be and the prizes and everything, and it just sounds like a really cool format and style. It's like a draft essentially.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, dude, he's good at what he does. I was so happy he got to interview me after Fightpass because it's just like I have this cool relationship with him where every time I see him, we were always on good terms, and it was cool to see him after I won. It kind of just like put everything together at the end. Like, oh, I had this great experience, and now you're here, and I get to talk to you. It was cool.
Here's one thing that I really like about him. I asked him, so I was talking to him about, just, hey, how can I make my career in broadcasting a little bit, like, how can I continue to go? And he's like, you need to develop your own income stream too, Jake. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And he told me the concept. I don't know if you guys ever heard of this. I might have talked to you about this a little bit. The concept of 1,000 true fans.
Yes.
So I'll explain it again. Brandon was like, Jake, have your own website. And imagine this, if you can get 1,000 people, and that's not a lot of people in the grand scheme of the world.
Yeah.
1,000 people to pay you $20 a month on a consistent basis. That is insane. That is a full-time, you can pay for you and your family and your 3 kids and everything on that. You really could. And so he's like talking to me about how he has these instructionals and this membership thing on his own website. And he was leading me through all that. And then I start thinking about all the stuff this guy's doing. I'm like, dude, he's got a great website. He is involved in 10th Planet. He's always doing commentary. He's got his own tournament series. He has developed this empire almost in his own little world.
He's one of the great personalities of the sport. Dude.
Honestly,
he really is. And yeah, man, he's done a great job marketing himself. His little Instagram clips for technique are really concise and really easy to digest, and he's got the personality for it too. So I mean, you can do the same thing, dude.
And that's what I'm trying to do. It's just weird to start, because he's got a guy following him with a camera
All the time. Yeah.
all the time. And I've talked to some people about like what that even looks like when I go to an event. Like, hey, what if I had a guy following me around with a camera, and whenever I go commentate an event, that would be good. But it's like, man, I'm not that big time yet, pay this guy.
Only because you think that way, though. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, there's me dressing for the job I want, and then me realizing the job I currently have.
Yeah,
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not BJJ Foxcast level just yet. I have a upstairs office in my room and a desk. That's what
There
I
you
got.
go.
I have a shirt though.
Attaboy. Attaboy. Yeah.
Jake,
Great mic.
I know you're being humble right now, and that's great. But you're also commentating the ADCC 2024.
Yeah,
at T-Mobile
dude.
Arena.
Yes, congratulations,
and you're,
man.
You're signed to do that, and that means something.
Yeah.
And I will say, like when you and Danny commentate for IBJJF, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Shout out to Danny O'Donnell.
Yeah, and you guys are a good matchup. Just the way you guys go back and forth. But I've been watching that stuff at work, just on YouTube or whatever, and like I had guys from work like, dang, why don't you have commentators like this when you compete? These guys are great. Like they have commentated my matches before. You just didn't see that one, but yeah, they are great.
Yeah. And you guys said it best. The energy is one thing and the talent is another, but you can't fake the enthusiasm.
Yeah.
It's impossible to fake that enthusiasm, and you guys bring it, man. And I'm really excited. Full disclosure, I don't watch a lot of jiu-jitsu. I'm sorry. I'm just that guy. I did watch yours because you're on it, and if I know a friend of mine's on it, of course I'm going to watch. But I don't watch a lot of jiu-jitsu. But I'm going to watch ADCC because you're commentating. You know what I mean? And I want to hear your. I've heard you at Fight to Win, right? And now I'm, dude, big stage, man, biggest stage.
it's pretty incredible. I mean, commentating ADCC 2022 already felt like, whoa, dude, what am I doing here? You know? Because I started really commentating in 2021. I really like emceeing as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Like the fact that I can do like the ring announcing for the IBJJF Grand Prix, I'm pretty stoked about that because I just like it. I think it's kind of fun. And if I get to do another job, I get to do it. I introduce Aaron Wilson. That'd be cool.
I don't know if I'm going to be doing too much IBJJF moving forward, but
any show.
That would be great.
You promised me you'd be doing gi tournaments.
I told my students I would.
You sat there.
I'm going to.
You sat there and you looked me in the eye.
Look at the pinky.
I don't care about the pinky. Tape it to the other finger.
Cut it off. You don't need it.
I'll put the gi back. I've been training in the gi more. If you guys have seen.
I think the gi is still fun. I think that there's like any rule set, and we can talk about rule sets all we want, but at the end of the day, it's the athletes that make the match exciting.
Yeah.
I don't care what rule set you put Roberto Jimenez in, dude. You could put a rule set where it's like, dude, you cannot be high during the match, and he's still gonna be super exciting.
Yeah.
That's a joke, by the way. And I don't know about Roberto Jimenez's pre-fight rituals, but seriously, it's about the athlete. You know, like I don't care what rule set we put you in, you're gonna fight the same freaking dog fight style, right? So
yeah. I'm going through a phase right now is all.
What's the phase?
Every time I have a gi on and I'm training the gi, I just think about how much I'd rather be training without the gi.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah, I just love no gi right now, man.
Okay.
I just can't get enough of it. I just want to do no gi every day. So,
but Agro is putting out. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Agro is putting out a nice looking gi.
Yes, 7 years later, he dropped. Actually, he probably sold out today at the Dream Tournament, California.
Nice.
Yeah, I think he took 50 or so with him. So, yeah, he's gonna make some minor adjustments to it, and then he's gonna have just like a regular in-house gi with the logo on it that he's always gonna have in stock.
Love it.
So yeah, I'm all for it. Really nice gi. It was comfortable. I liked it. Gave him my honest opinion on it, and he was willing to make the changes for the next round. So that's pretty cool. And the no-gi kits are unreal that he's been coming out with.
Oh man,
the one we have for trials and potentially another fight pass. If it does happen in March, is going to be super cool. I'm not going to really release it right now what it's going to be, but you guys will see. It's going to be a super cool kit, really unique.
But you need to give us the link so we can get our kit, so we can
yes
support you.
That's right,
for sure, dude.
Yeah, I was about to say, come on, man.
Yeah. No, I'll drop it. You guys will see it.
I'm not a biased commentator, but outside of it, I say who my friends are. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
during the match, if you get submitted, dude, I'm gonna go wild. You know, that's how it is. That's my job. You know, like no hard feelings. I need everybody to know that if you're my friend and you get tapped, I'm sorry, dude. I'm working. You know?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, you know, when you have like professional athletes go into commentating and they still have friends on the teams that they're commentating for, they're trying to be professionals, right? They're trying to do their job, and sometimes there can be some bad blood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I love the progression of the sport, and this could even be just, I would say, in the last 3 years, where it's like everyone's raising the bar, and it's not just with the promotions themselves, it's with the announcing, it's with the venues, it's with everything is just getting higher and higher and higher.
Yeah.
And it's great for the sport, and the progression that we've been on since, let's just say, COVID is unreal.
Yeah.
Because if you told me around COVID that the ADCC was going to be at T-Mobile Arena,
Dude.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no way.
Yeah, and then I mean the last ADCC, if you would have told me that during COVID, I would have lost my mind. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just cool to see it. You know, it just gets better and better.
Yeah. Can we just move all of the events to the Mullet Arena? All of them,
I've
actually at the Mullet Arena once.
I've never been there, dude.
You didn't like it?
Well,
as
okay,
far
I
as
didn't like the
tournaments
event. I didn't like the event. I don't like paying concessions. So like, dude, concession stands are always morbidly expensive.
Yeah, they are.
No, but the Mullet Arena is actually, it's really nice.
I like it for tournaments.
I commentated at a Thunderbolt boxing show. It was an influencer boxing show.
I remember you told me about this. This is great.
A nightmare. It was the worst. And like, hey, listen.
In Vegas.
I remember. Yeah.
Nothing against Thunderbolt boxing.
Right.
I'm so privileged by the opportunity. What was a nightmare was the athlete's behavior, not the production. The production was great. Fight TV. Jeff Way was the ring announcer. He was, super professional. I was commentating with a guy named Ramon Hedges, who was another personality who commentates down in Tucson and all this great stuff. But the athletes, they were doing there was a point where they didn't understand the boxing rules so much to where they were both on the ground fighting like it was MMA. And then the referee calls the match because they're not listening. And then people are climbing in the ring. Like spectators are trying to come into the ring. And I'm like, what am I watching, dude?
You mean, but by recall, you mean like call it a no contest and stop the match?
Like this is over. You're both DQ'd.
Yeah.
If you bring the circus to town, you're gonna have clowns, bro.
Dude,
Yeah.
the day before during the weigh-ins,
Yeah.
there were two people. I don't even remember their names because they're stage names. And the guy shoved the guy, and then the guy pepper sprayed him back in the face.
Yep.
In the face, dude. And I'm just like, and I tasted it. It wasn't like fake pepper spray. I was like,
Oh no!
oh my gosh, he really did that. And then the match got called off by USA Boxing because obviously they're like, dude, what is happening? This is
That's
absolutely
assault.
Is that whole
ridiculous.
event sanctioned?
It was sanctioned by USA Boxing as an amateur card.
Okay.
So they were all wearing headgear and like, dude, they had a guy. What's his name? I don't even know, but DW Flame. Sorry, DW Flame is he was on Wild and Out, dude. He was on Nick Cannon's Wild and Out, and this guy is boxing in the ring. And I looked this guy up. I'm like, oh. And one of the things I got to talk about on this card, I'm like, God, DW Flame has about 5,000 or 500,000 Spotify downloads right now. Up and coming rapper. I'm just like, what am I talking about? You know, I'm like having to do the commentator voice that I'm talking about.
Hey, you know what, dude? That right there, that's just character building. Is all that is.
That's all it is.
All I know is it made me realize I need to start really like maybe I need to get a PR guy or something like that to filter these show opportunities.
Do you like doing that stuff, or would you rather be like kind of the more serious events, like or?
Here's my progression. I want to become I want to become the by and large, far and away best commentator in jiu-jitsu, best broadcaster in jiu-jitsu. Right now, obviously, I'm okay sharing that with Brandon McCatherine, who I think is the best. I think Brandon McCatherine
I think he is too.
currently
I told him that.
the best.
Yeah,
I think he's
agree.
currently the best, and I've told him that to his face. I do think I'm the second best right now. That's not me
It's
being.
fair.
I think that there's great guys like Hal Teague is awesome. I think
Who's the
that
guy that did Coast Grappling with accent? He was good as well.
that was
With
Hal
the
Teague,
accent?
the
The-
British guy,
Yeah,
the bald British guy from Flow Grappling,
I don't know if it.
Roberto. That guy.
He did Third Coast.
He also does Aiga with Brandon.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no, that guy's great.
Yeah, he's good.
Hal. Yeah. So that's Hal Teague, and he's awesome as well. So there's other great guys. I want so badly to not only be that great in jiu-jitsu, but I want to go into MMA as well. Because I have a lot of MMA experience, and I have a lot of, I've known a lot of the different MMA athletes in the scene for a long time. And I wanted to be making my career. I want to feed my family with this talent that I believe that God gave me. You know? So it's like, why wouldn't I, continue to do all these shows? And I want to compete too, like I'm sick of just watching. And I want to I feel like Paul Felder, for instance, part of his growth in the broadcasting world was also being engaged in the fighting world, and he gained fans that way. And that's not the only reason I want to fight. I also want to win, and I believe I still got the juice, as you put it.
Yeah.
But
A lot of juice.
yeah, a lot of juice. Not like that.
No.
But do you think the spectacle,
I'm not accusing you.
those
of that. I
spectacle
know-
fights,
I know
kind of
you don't
like
do that
water
stuff.
down the scene a little bit?
What'd you say?
Those spectacle fights, like with the influencer boxing matches, and like
Oh yeah, I think that's horrible for low. Okay, when you do it on a big scale, it's probably not that big of a deal.
Right.
This is I'm talking. These guys have 400,000 Instagram followers. They're
Not
not even
millions,
really
yeah.
influencing people. This is they just got a lot of followers.
They probably bought
Influencers
those
are like
followers, too.
they might have, but these guys apparently are big in the rap world, as it were.
Yeah,
But an influencer is somebody who influences a culture in some way, shape, or form, right? Otherwise, they're not influencers.
Right.
Jake Paul is an influencer because he is influencing a generation. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
So when he fights people who are also influencing a generation, it's an influencer boxing match. What I commentated was two people who are moderately famous in their in respective industries fighting each other. And it didn't work out. The idea just didn't work out.
Yeah.
And what's funny is before those 5 fights were 5 professional boxing matches between actual top ranked boxers. And it was a gorgeous fight card. It was awesome. We had Adam Stewart, who's the All-American. He had a country singer. I don't know. Jason Scott, I think is the country singer's name. Sing the national anthem as his walkout song. And he's this whole thing. He's got the American flag shorts, goes out there and knocks the dude out. Hometown hero. It was a super awesome card. And then it just went it was up here and then boom, just influencer boxing.
At that point, were you kind of just taking every opportunity that came around?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And in a way I still am, because I don't have a manager. I don't have a PR guy. I don't have a Bruno Bastos in my corner to help me get the opportunity. So I have to filter everything through. I got Jim Greasehaber is the guy who I'm actually going to be, we're working on starting a show called MMAZ. But he has a lot of experience. He works with ESPN MMA radio. And so because he's a radio host for ESPN MMA.
He commentated my second MMA fight I ever had.
See? So he's been involved in the scene for ever.
Yeah.
And
That was 2012.
Dude, he's been still going.
Yeah.
He's still going. And he's been rejuvenated and doing a lot of really awesome stuff. And he's been mentoring me in this space a little bit. And he's the one that told me, like, hey, you need to start, like, thinking a little bit more about, you can't take every show just because they pay. You have to also think about your future. And so he's the one that told me to start making a resume. Like, my resume is like 4 pages long by now of shows.
Is the logic behind that, is it kind of like waters down your resume?
Well, okay. Let's say I go and I commentate a high rollers event, for instance. Me, a Christian, going and commentating a high rollers event makes me look like I don't stand for it. It makes me look like a sellout. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. It also, like, I don't think that there's, and let's go away from high rollers. Let's say there's another event like this Thunderbolt boxing match. I've commentated ADCC Worlds 2022, and then I commentated this weird, if anybody watched it, they'd be like, why is Jake Watson commentating this show?
I got you.
Know?
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound full of myself, but I also think that there is that, you have to protect my integrity as well,
of course,
as a commentator.
Like, if you don't take yourself seriously.
If you, for instance, if you fought on the UFC Fightpass Invitational and you went out there and you won, and then you took a smoker.
Yeah.
And you let's say you lose. You know, let's say I do a crap job on that bad show. Then it's like, man, Jake Watson may not be really that good. Maybe he's kind of a fluke. Yeah. Same sort of thing. It's just competition in a different space for me.
That's
fair.
Commentary. That's fair. Yeah, just stay true to yourself. Keep your standards high, dude. And I think it'll be fine, man.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it.
How do you practice?
So I watch and I write. I talk a lot in my car.
Yeah.
But I watch and I write. So like I watch a lot of John Anik, and I think John Anik is the most professional broadcaster in combat sports. I don't think that he is the most knowledgeable, but I think he's the most professional. He makes the sport sound the most clean and cut. I think Joe Rogan's the most knowledgeable. He's been around it for like ever. He also has a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You know, he's involved in the scene.
Yeah.
I think that Michael Bisping is actually pretty good, but Michael gets too involved in like the fighter relations. You see what I'm saying? Like I realize the different things about the different commentators, and I try to just be Jake Watson.
Yeah.
I don't try to be a John Anik or one of these guys, but that's how I practice. And honestly, the way that I practice is kind of the way that you practice competing. You just got to go out there and just get opportunity after opportunity. Yeah. What really was hard is when I started doing on Who's Number 122. I don't know why they don't hire me for commentary very much anymore. But they had me do the pre-show. They had me like lead the pre-show and do like this big opening thing and then the closing thing too, which I do with Shanji Hibero and Kendall Rusing.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. Shanji's a cool guy.
Yeah.
And he's getting better on camera too. Like, he was super nervous first time. He's
sure.
Man, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm just like, just follow the script. But that was more nerve-wracking. That was harder to practice because that's like you're on camera live. And if you mess up, you're going to look like an idiot on camera live. Yeah.
That's funny because Who's Number One is one of those organizations which I feel like is, as an event, I think is taken really seriously, like with the athletes. But I feel like that's where they struggle is with the commentary. Kendall Rusing did a fucking awesome job. She's a really good commentator, like, because she's very knowledgeable, obviously, right? But she also like carried herself really well. And the guy that she had, I don't remember Who's Number One that she was doing, but like she really upstaged that other guy that was like with like her partner in commentary. And I was just like, they need to have someone who can drop into that spot and like really like kind of to help push that into like a more serious event. I mean, I as like all of us who practice jiu-jitsu, I think we all take Who's Number One is a serious event, right? Yeah. But I think they do struggle in that little field.
I really love commentating Who's Number One. I think it's one of the biggest solo jiu-jitsu promotions because if you think about it, like the UFC Fightpass Invitational, UFC has a Brazilian jiu-jitsu thing.
Yeah.
Flow Grappling has Who's Number One, and it's jiu-jitsu, and they don't have anything else but jiu-jitsu. So it's like jiu-jitsu's biggest show that is organically a jiu-jitsu show is Who's Number One.
And it's great for wrestling too. They do Who's Number One for wrestling too, if you haven't watched that before.
That's where it stemmed from.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. They do like the top ranked high school wrestlers in the nation.
No kidding.
Number 1 against number 2.
Wow.
Is that stemmed off of Flow because of that?
It's Flow Wrestling.
Flow Wrestling.
Right.
Dude, these kids show out in those shows, and it's just one of the cooler things in the wrestling community to watch.
How long has that been going on? I'm sorry.
No, I have a good question for you. How long has that been going on?
For wrestling?
Yeah, like Who's Number One for wrestling?
I think well over a decade, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been
really?
around for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, one of the greatest matches they ever had was it Dayton Fix against Nick Suriano?
Okay.
2, national champion guys, but they were like juniors in high school, and it was just like one of the craziest matches of all time. It was awesome.
That's so cool.
Isn't Dorian Olivares, isn't he the kid that won 66 kilos at East Coast Travel?
Yeah.
Isn't he like a number 1 ranked high school wrestler? So he could be theoretically, if he keeps up doing what he's doing, he could be like a who's number one jiu-jitsu and who's number one wrestling and win on both cards.
Dude, it's
Wow.
like, well, I mean,
How cool would that be, dude?
That'd be
you
fucking
got these kids coming up that are elite at both, and they're terrifying.
I couldn't believe when I saw that kid beat the brakes off of Gianni Grippo. And I love Gianni, but man, he wore Gianni out.
How about
dude.
my boy Ezra from the lab and from Red Hawk that submitted Dorian at the ADCC Arizona Open? This is a name you need to keep your eye on. Ezra Elliott. He won that. He won that division.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I did see him.
Dude, I train with this guy once or twice a week. I just train with him on Friday. The kid is a dog, and he's only a purple belt, but he was a really high level wrestler, like high level high school wrestler. Opted not to wrestle in college or dropped out, and now he's just doing MMA and jiu-jitsu, and man, he is tough as nails.
What weight class?
He is gonna put on a show at the West Coast Trials. I truly believe it.
Gotcha.
What weight class?
He was
Must have been 66 because if he fought Dorian, then it's 66.
Oh, yeah.
But Dorian does the open.
Yeah, that kid's crazy.
That kid is
Oh,
nuts.
and he won combat jiu-jitsu as well.
Dorian did?
Yeah.
Dude, that kid is nuts, man. And it's just wrestling fundamentals. That's all he does is wrestling fundamentals and
He's
like
cool, man.
some basic beginner passing strategy.
Yeah.
And he just beat everybody.
He's cool. He's a cool kid.
I felt
man.
pissed. I was like, dude, what am I wasting my time on the cool stuff when I could just be rehashing the easy stuff, or the simple stuff rather.
Yeah, it's cool to see wrestlers really diving into jiu-jitsu head first and showing, hey, I belong here. I've only been doing jiu-jitsu a couple of years, but hey, I have 16 years of wrestling in my life behind it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna implement that.
That's kind of where like wrestling kind of falls off, right? Like after college, you don't really have a lot of opportunity.
World championships, maybe Olympics, but other than
that's
that,
such a small group of guys that are actually going to make it through there. So, it's either MMA, and now they have jiu-jitsu somewhere that they can go to. I mean, look at, Nicky Rod and J Rod, those are wrestlers. And you got a lot of other guys over there at B Team that, came up wrestling as kids, and now they're jiu-jitsu athletes. And I think Josh Cicernos was a good wrestler in California as well. And, he's a jiu-jitsu star now. So I think it's cool. And I like when the wrestlers swallow their pride and put on a gi and learn the art and do it the proper way. I think it's super cool, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to let it slide by. You had a question about the UFC Fightpass, your experience.
Oh, yeah. You need to tell us about your
never shared it,
experience.
did he? Never shared
No.
it.
We got sidetracked.
No, you hid.
So, basically, it was one of the cooler experiences of my entire life, from beginning to start. I'll give you this tidbit of advice, and then I'll dive into the Fightpass thing. As somebody that's kind of been on the super fight scene for a little while, booking my own shows, talking with promoters, negotiating flights.
Sorry.
You're good. Negotiating flights, negotiating prices, how much I'm going to get paid. It's fine. I'm also above 30 years old and an adult, so I can handle myself that way. But
how far above 30 years old?
Oh, we're not talking about that. But for these kids that are in their early 20s and stuff, like, they're not adults yet. Like, they haven't like experienced life to be able to like handle that type of stuff. So I would say, like, advice to you with the commentating stuff, like maybe get a manager that can handle that stuff for you, because ever since Bruno came into my life, like, dude, he handles everything.
Yeah.
And then he just asked me what I want. And I'm like, dude, I don't anything, dude. Like, it works. And he's like, okay, well, I'm working on this for you. And like, he's going above and beyond.
Yeah.
And he's not getting that much back in return, but he's building his brand. And I'm just
100%.
very grateful to be a part of it. So
How cool is that?
I would say, like,
managers now.
yeah.
It's
nice.
amazing.
It's
Victor
great.
Dory is another one.
And that's the thing too, is like
Samir,
connection wise, like, I don't know if I'm probably not getting on Fightpass without him,
Yeah.
But anyways, we'll go back to Fightpass. The level of professionalism from the beginning to the end, they had to change the day of the card, which was kind of hectic, but man, they really rebounded and they made it, change flights. They did everything. I had a hotel room for my coach and a flight for my coach. I took Josh out with me. It was really cool to have him there with me for that. And then, man, I got there for the photo shoot on, I think, Friday morning, and I got there and we got to the Apex. They had a shuttle take us from the hotel there every time, so it was really cool the way they set that up. And then, I get to the photo shoot and they're like, all right, go to hair and makeup with Tiffany. I'm like, hair and makeup?
You're damn right, hair and makeup.
They put makeup on me for like 20 minutes. I was like, this is crazy. Photo shoot was awesome. They're really nice the whole way through, super professional. Rules meeting went great. I'm just sitting in this room with all these jiu-jitsu legends, and it's just like, dude, what the hell? And there's the cage behind that the guys are going to fight in on the UFC later that night. Just being in the Apex and walking through it is just like a really cool experience, And then the fight night itself, like, everything was like dialed to the minute. I mean, they ran it like a UFC, so it's like everything just falls in line.
Yeah.
And they have all their staff there, and it's like people you see on TV, you know, and it's like, oh, I know who you are, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, man, it was just a great experience, and then to be able to win and, you know, have a good performance, that was awesome too. So yeah, just super surreal, and man, I really hope they have me back, and love to put on another show, you know.
How was it with like amenities? Like, were you like, if I need, you know, X food, they'll go get it for you, or is that kind of thing, or is it?
No, but like they did stuff like reimburse you for Ubers if you're trying to get around town and stuff.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, it was just like, man, it was
So they
really
took care of you.
It was really top notch. Like, Josh was like, I have my own room.
Oh,
Yeah, dude. He's like, hey, we finally made it, dude. I was like, yeah. Well, it took us long enough, but yeah.
no more 4 guys to a 2-bedroom.
Motel 6, dude.
Sharing a queen bed.
Sharing a queen bed.
You bought.
Me and Josh are in the shuttle on the way there with like all these big jiu-jitsu names, and I was like, dude, we used to share a Motel 6 in Compton. Now look at us. This is cool, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, I didn't get a chance to tell you yet, but I'm really proud of you, dude. Like
Yeah.
seeing how much work. I remember, this is funny, Aaron Wilson once said to me in an airport, man, I think, you know, I got a couple tournaments in me and then I'm going to retire.
I did.
How long ago was
He
that?
did say
How
that.
long ago was that?
That was like a couple years ago in an airport. Maybe like a year and a half ago. He's like, yeah, I don't know. And then Bruno freaking Bastos. Baby.
Yeah, man.
And your work ethic just kept on going, and I think that you're onto something. I think that you're definitely on your way to something even bigger.
I think
even
that's good to
better.
hear too for a lot of people, like especially up and comers who are like maybe they're on a dry spell of not winning. It's like just fucking keep at it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was having a lot of like mental hiccups competing because it's like, man, I'm not winning a lot right now, you know.
Right.
And it was like, okay, well, let's take a step back and let's look at the guys that you lost to. A lot of them are ranked in the top 5 in the world, you know what I mean? So I was losing to really good guys, and you know, I was having a good showing against them too. So it's like, I don't. That's just me. I'm always going to keep kind of pushing forward. I'm not like easily discouraged. But man, it's just, I think for me, it's more or less like all the other obstacles in my life. You know, maintaining a career, raising a family, and just trying to balance everything is the hardest part about doing this as you get into your 30s.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I want to have my own school.
Yeah.
You know, I have a son. I want to have more kids. I just got engaged. Like, I have a lot going on.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
And I got a lot going on. So it's like trying to balance all this. And Amanda does such a great job of allowing me and helping me and supporting me. But, yeah, man, I just think, you know, against all odds, if you really want something, and you got the work ethic and you got the ability to do it, go do it. You know.
Yeah. Do you think the reason you stuck with it, even though you wanted to retire at an airport, talking to Jake, do you think that came from like being coached really tough at a young age, like having coaches that really held your feet to the fire at a young age?
I think at this point right now where I stand, I've had so many good coaches. Yeah. You know, and I've had so many different styles of coaching. But what am I, 34 now? There you go. Answer your question. I started wrestling when I was 11. So do the math. I've been competing pretty much nonstop since then.
Yeah.
And I think just after a while, it's a little exhausting.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was telling Issa this today at Open Mat. I was like, dude, I have moments where like I'll spend an entire month like, dude, I'm probably not going to compete anymore. You know? And then I'll have like just a burst of energy and I just want to get back in the grind.
How do you push through that? Or is it just happens?
It's just a wave, you know, and I just ride it. And, man, it's like, it's just one of those things. And I think it's normal. And I think some guys go through it in like their early 20s, you know. But, I mean, one thing that stayed consistent in my life ever since I started jiu-jitsu was just I love this thing and I love competing. Yeah. And, you know, I might have a moment or two here where I'm a little discouraged, or I'll have a moment where I'm like, man, you know, maybe I should stop doing it. You know, and I have outside people telling me, hey, maybe, you know, you're getting a little old, maybe you should shift into other things. And, you know, they might be right, but it's like, I still feel like where I stand at today, like I have a lot left in my tank. So yeah, I'm going to keep doing it. And a couple of my big goals are coming up, you know, so we'll see. I'm not going to just like say one thing. I'm just going to kind of go with it for now. So ADCC trials in March, that's my number one. It's all I'm worried about. And after that, we'll see how it is.
Do you like to have a target, like just always signing up for stuff and just being like, or do you like to go neutral sometimes?
It depends on what it is, right? So I'm going to get really excited for like a big opportunity on a big show, right? But like something that's not so cool or not like a great opponent, I'm really not that interested in, you know?
Yeah.
I need something that's going to rev me up and be like, okay, I need to train twice a day and cold plunge every day and do this and lift and do that and like and be dialed in that mindset where it's like always in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Work hard. Always in the back of my head. If I'm going against somebody who's just whatever, it's like I'm probably, not going to give it my all.
Do these big opportunities that you've had recently and even in the past, like do they kind of make it harder to hit that that event that's gonna rev you up?
I think so. Like even with Fightpass Invitational, like the guy that I beat, he's a really cool dude. Not that great of a dude, like competitor on like a world scene. Mm-hmm. I feel like to scratch my itch, I would need to beat a big name on that stage, and then maybe I would be happy with it.
Right. Okay, yeah,
but that's kind of where I'm at with that. Like
so always wanting.
Because I'm super hypercritical of myself, and I want a seat at that table of the top guys, and I won't be there until I beat a top guy. So that's what I'm going for, and that's what I'm moving towards.
Nice.
You've been knocking on that door for a while, though. I mean, not a lot of people know you fought Jonatas Gracie at a very obscure show earlier last year, right?
I still haven't got paid for it, by the way. So
are you serious?
What?
Yeah.
Tell us about the experience of what the show was like, because I can't speak on it, but I had a conversation with Cole Abate's dad about the show too, because Jeremy Abate is his dad, and he had a few words.
Okay, so
to say with me.
Originally, I was supposed to fight on a show called The Tower. They run tournaments out of Tucson. I was supposed to fight Jonatas in Tucson, whatever day it was, like the beginning of May. That card got canceled, and they moved it to UCLA in California. Now, if you went on their Instagram and you saw the people competing on this card, like, holy crap, this is who's who of like top grapplers. I mean, Cole Abate, Dante Leon, Jonatas Gracie. There was like 5 other really big names on that card. They had a whole brown belt Grand Prix that was like top podium guys in the world, that Cole Abate ended up winning. But super star-studded. Had some issues leading up to it. I signed a contract for X amount of money. It's not about money. You know what I mean?
It's kind of about money.
It's kind of about money,
okay,
yeah.
I understand, but I don't pay my bills with this.
I hear you.
Sense? You know what I mean? So like, yeah, that's cool. That's a decent amount of money to do jiu-jitsu. I'll take it. Yeah. Anyway, it was more about me finding Jonatas because he beat me in Worlds 2017 in the finals, and I was like, I want this match back. Yeah, like I really want to fight that guy again. So I took it, and leading up to it, it was very weird back and forth. At one point in time, I even told the promoter, "Hey, dude, I'm not one of these like little kids in jiu-jitsu that you can like bully around. Like I'm a grown ass man. Get my flight taken care of now, or I'm not going to do the show." So like last minute, gets me a flight. It works out. Got out there, whatever. The event was held outdoors, right? So imagine just a bunch of Fuji mats on a recreational field at a college. This was in May. It was pretty cold as the sun went down. Yeah. And I'm sitting out there with like all these other guys, and we're like, damn, it's cold.
I remember this event.
We're trying to warm up. The closest bathroom to the mats is at the library. And the library is like a quarter mile away from where So I'm one of those people that pees 20 times before I compete. Just nerves, you know what I mean? So I'm sprinting back and forth from there. The first few matches start going. It's still light out. There's like no spectators that come. Maybe like 20 people paid to get in and watch it. And it's real low energy. I guess the ref didn't show up, so one of the guys on the card, his friend had to ref. They didn't have the stream or anything set up properly, so like it was like the promoters trying to figure out streaming, and the event's getting started like an hour and a half late.
Oh my gosh!
Well, then it gets.
When I throw it out here, you're not getting paid for that.
Yeah,
I talked to him like 2 days ago. He's gonna send it to me. Anyways,
nice.
Anyways, dude, it gets cold out. The sun goes down. The mat turns into a slip and slide. It's completely soaked. Oh no! And there's no mop. So they're literally throwing down towels, shirts, trying to soak up all the sweat and the condensation on the mat. And like, I'm standing there next to Jonatas. We're about to go on the mat, and like his coach is like, "Dude, if you don't want to go out there and compete on that, don't do it." Yeah. I was like, damn, I might not want to go compete on that either. Like, so here I am fighting the reigning IBJJF world champion, a weight class above me, on a slip and slide.
Oh my gosh.
And I literally yelled out at the promoter, in the middle. Well, no, actually, I felt bad because I yelled at the ref, who was just like,
just some dude
guy
that
stepped up.
some poor guy that stepped up.
And I apologized to him. I was like, bro, dude, what the? And now he's like, bro, I'm just.
It's like, I'm with you, dude. I don't know what's happening either.
I'm just as surprised as you
So
are.
I yelled
pal.
at the promoter. I'm like, hey, you flew me out here to fight the best guy in the world on the slip inside.
Yeah.
And like, I'm trying to pass. And every time I try to pass,
Feet flying out.
yeah. So like, I was like, oh, okay, well, I lost, but I got a cool takedown. Let me go ahead and like edit that up, put it on my Instagram. They ran a promo as I shoot in on Jonatas right on the screen. So you missed my entire takedown. Oh. Yeah. It was like the stream was crappy. He didn't sell enough streams. The mat was wet. It was not a cool event, man.
That's rough.
And where was it held? What state?
It was at UCLA in California.
I remember seeing videos of that, and it was like, is this at a high school?
Here's the thing, man. Like, and I said this after my son's last MMA fight, where he tried to punch his way out of a triangle. Anyway, we're still talking about that.
Good thing he doesn't know anybody who teaches jiu-jitsu.
It just drives me crazy. But I love you, buddy. But you drive me crazy. But so it was a brand new promotion, just got sanctioned. It was at the Res in Payson. And I
he did the APC.
I'm not gonna put him on blast.
All Powers Combat.
I'm not gonna put him on blast.
I am a veteran of the All Powers Combat. I'll have you know.
Well, and I said this on a podcast after. I was like, if you're thinking about starting a promotion, like you're thinking about like doing a tournament or starting an MMA promotion, don't, just don't, because like I'm pretty sure they focused on where do we rent a ring because nothing else was in place. We got there about 3 fights before Tony went on. And we got into the VIP area where he's warming up and stuff. And this kid comes limping in. Like, he's got his coach helping him up because it was upstairs, helping him up the steps. And this kid's like kicking his foot up. And someone goes, yeah, there's no ice. And I'm like, what do you mean there's no ice? Like, there is a 100% chance that someone's going to need ice.
Well, here's the problem. When you run into it, having it on the Res, it wasn't sanctioned. They didn't have to have EMTs there probably.
Yeah.
It was
I don't think they did.
Like, oh, yeah. No, they probably didn't, and they didn't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Dicey,
you're probably right, because we went out, we came in through this, it was like a rec center. We walked through the rec center.
Ask Paul. He cornered me.
but when we left the ring, we walked through the exit, like towards the parking lot, like outdoors. Tony's like in sweaty and shorts, and it's like 2 degrees out, and there's no ambulance out there.
No.
So yeah, just don't do your own tournament because you think you have cool rules. It's just. Yeah, let the pros do it, man. Just let the pros do it. I was very disappointed, and I've got my son fighting in this place with no ice.
And you know what's crazy? Even the guys that are super dialed and super like attention to detail driven, and they have all their boxes check out, shit still happens.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's crazy. Like, this guy is so impressive. He's got all this stuff set up. Great announcers. The stream is clean. The card is stacked with good people. Not the one in California. I'm talking about another individual right now. But yeah, like, and stuff still goes wrong.
Yeah,
you know, it's just crazy, man. It's a tough business to be in, and I tip my hat to anybody who's in that business and puts on a show, because that's stressful,
dude. I can't imagine.
And a lot of times they don't make a lot of money off the show.
Yeah.
You know? So for them to do it, like, that's cool and like thumbs up. But yeah, it takes a certain personality, and if you're self-aware and you know you're not that guy. Yeah, don't put on a show.
Yeah, that's one of those benefits of MMA versus like jiu-jitsu, right? Because like the ADCC, like there's a ton of videos where you see these guys in ADCC. They're like fighting in the hallway, right? Because they don't want to stop the action, right?
Yeah.
But you have
Do you remember the guy at the one in Arizona when I was going against Dorsey and we're out of bounds, and he's
yes,
like,
it's fucking
like,
wild.
What do you do?
It's fucking chaos,
what
right?
do you do?
I was like, I didn't even realize it during the match. This guy was in over his head from the beginning.
Yeah.
He had no business reffing 2 high-level guys like that whatsoever. But he
didn't know how to control it. Yeah.
He was like scared of like, I don't know what to do with my
But
hands.
they put you in a cage, and it's like, at least you're contained, right?
Yeah.
And even like a cage is like so much better than a ring, right? Because a ring you could fall through the ropes, right? And that's dangerous in its own right, right?
Dude, I'm waiting for it. I don't want it to happen. I'm not trying to make it sound like that, but I think somebody's going to get hurt at one of these opens going off the mat.
Yes, 100%.
It's just a matter of time.
It's going to be a takedown into the table, and somebody lands their neck or whatever.
Chair.
Dude.
Somebody jumps
a
out of a chair.
spectator, like it's
I mean, they had
tough.
they had little Maurice fighting under the table at the tournament.
Yeah.
And like
it's wild. It's fucking
Marcio's like
chaos.
looking, and then he like pulls his kid out of under the table. It was like, No, they're not fighting under a table, dude.
Good,
Like, what are you
good on
talking about?
good on Marcio for doing that. 'Cause
It's
that was
crazy,
silly.
dude. I was
Yeah.
watching it like, okay, that's enough.
That's what I'm saying. Like ADCC is like really like trying to get to the top of like being considered like, you know, one of the best grappling organizations, and it is kind of like there's a good argument to be made for
really
that.
good argument,
but it's hard when you have videos of people fighting in the hallways. Like they need to get that under control. Like,
well, I agree. I think as somebody who's like seen the, you know, the highest level of both organizations and stuff like that, the ADCC Opens are in their fledgling years though too.
Yeah,
I mean, like the IBJJF, when you look at like the old videos of the IBJJF starting, it looked,
100%
puzzle mats, referees with hats on, gi pants and shirts because they're just the guys who competed earlier that day. And now, you know, you got suit and tie.
Yeah.
Every event looks like it could be a world championship. Like every IBJJF event,
but
is
on the shoulders of
consistent.
giants, like learn from the past of other organizations.
And
Yeah,
I think
I was going to say they didn't have anyone to model. You know what I mean? So,
well, yeah, they're still in the ADCC. I mean, they had to change rules in response, like Big Dan. They're changing. I think that they're trying to develop and they're trying to go. But and this is something that I thought about one day. What the IBJJF has is like something that ADCC doesn't have, and what ADCC has, something that IBJJF doesn't have. ADCC has the spectacle.
Yeah.
The IBJJF has to kind of copy whatever ADCC's done because there's no way an IBJJF Worlds is going to be as done up as ADCC unless they make that decision. Now, I don't think it needs to be. I think IBJJF Worlds has its own real unique flair and its own real, like, man, there's nothing
And they
like
have
seeing,
the prestige, right?
Well, dude, Jansen Gomez beating Tynan Dalbra, I've never felt goosebumps like I felt when I saw that match. You know what I mean? And it's just that the environment is created by the fans at IBJJF, but the environment is created by the production at ADCC.
The pyramid being sold out and jumping at Worlds is its own trademark, and you can't replicate it.
can't
With
replicate
lights and flames and music, it's just its own thing. And if you've ever watched it or seen it, it's really beautiful. And you know, I'm not saying it's better than ADCC or by any means. It's just it's its own trademark thing.
Yeah.
It's really unique and cool.
They're finding their way in the middle, I think, because we've all seen the rule changes in IBJJF. They're seeing where jiu-jitsu is going, right? They're making those changes, which they hadn't had anybody push them, which is, I think, one of the biggest advantages of having ADCC becoming as big as it is now. It's pushing all of these rule sets into like the kind of more exciting and kind of like
make it better.
and kind of like getting rid of like you know, like how long has like heel hooks been a part of jiu-jitsu but not been allowed at IBJJF, right? And now it is.
Yeah.
Right?
And a lot of that, I think, is in part due to the development of rule sets and the excitement of rule sets that allow heel hooks. And plus, I mean, man, you used to be able to reap the knee and throw a toe hold in the gi in the IBJJF.
Yeah.
Like, you used to be able to do that way back.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you should be able
Bring
to
it
defend. It's well, but here's the thing: like a toe hold will do the same amount of damage as a heel hook sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like, but we're okay with twisting the foot in this way, but not in the other way. Obviously, you can really mess somebody. Like what Mikey Musumeci did to that one guy at one championship where it looked like a motorcycle crash victim.
Right.
But he didn't tap. That's his fault. Yeah.
But that's what's capable to happen is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like you might not get that level of damage from a toe hold.
And then look at the Meow Brothers. You guys see that video?
Which one?
The one,
So
where
bad.
they're like he's showing like how he has no stability
Yep.
in his knee,
Yep.
and it's just like it's disgusting.
Yeah, he needs a knee replacement.
It's called a wheelchair at 50 is what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's rough.
But I mean, as far as like one thing that I thought made ADCC cool, and this is in part due to your point, the IBJJF Worlds is its own organic. You cannot replicate it. But ADCC 2022 felt real cool because it had the lights, but also you have educated fans there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's one thing that jiu-jitsu really has going for it is every fan is educated, usually. Like probably a small percentage at ADCC Worlds were like there to see their family.
Yeah.
Because it's all high-level competitors. Like there's no, there's no first round.
You think that's all on Mo? Because like I feel like all of the ADCC like before, like you see like all these classic ones. It's kind of like just with like the IBJJF stuff. You see the puzzle mats. It's like it's really like low quality, but like
They're at high school.
yeah. But like ADCC last year was something like I've never seen before in jiu-jitsu. It was wild.
From working with Mo, here's what I can say about Mo Jasm. There is not a lot of people who care about the development of jiu-jitsu as much as he does. He is, and he might come off as a stressed out human being. Like, dude, that guy
sure
guy
he
has
is.
both. Oh, he is
Yeah.
but he puts it on himself because that's how he thrives. And
Yeah.
I mean, that guy has quickly fired me and quickly rehired me because he's like, listen, dude, like you just got me at a time. I'm focused on all this different stuff. I'm sorry. And then I'm like, oh, you got it, man. Like, don't gotta worry. Yeah. But one thing that I can say is when he like, how could you be dissatisfied with ADCC 2022? That guy said, I'm not even satisfied with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, we can do so much better. I'm like, you can do so much better?
Wow.
Are you serious?
That event was almost perfect. It was almost perfect.
Flamethrowers at the freaking jiu-jitsu event.
Him and his team and the group that he has with him. It's the guy that runs 5 Grappling too, right?
Sean Fowler.
Yeah.
Great guy.
And then Seth is in there as well. All those guys are really spearheading like the growth of the sport as a whole. Oh, yeah. And the things that they're doing for the sport, that's what's going to propel it into the next level. So, man, those guys are awesome, and I really appreciate what they're doing for the sport, whatever way it may come across, you know.
Well, you can see the effect that Mo's having because, I mean, the UFC Fightpass Invitational wanted to do a hybrid ADCC rule set. That's how impactful ADCC is. Think about, George St. Pierre has competed at ADCC. Matt Serra got 3rd at ADCC. It's always been the UFC wanted to go compete in ADCC, and they've been around forever. But what we're seeing, like even 2019 wasn't super huge. I think 2019 was in another country. And then like 2017, I believe, was in Finland. And then 2022 and 2024 are both in Vegas. But we've seen like, okay, we're really going to take this to the next level, like what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think that is pushing everybody. Because everybody wants to be, when you're an athlete, your biggest reminders and your biggest goals are being showcased on your television screen. Like, you want something in jiu-jitsu that feels like the UFC heavyweight championship. Like you want to have the strap. It's in all sports. You want to have the gold medal. You want to have the championship belt. And in jiu-jitsu, there's the gold medal, but there wasn't always the, but I am the guy that walks out with music playing. I'm the guy that gets interviewed after my match. Dude. I don't have a fight camp to fight one guy. Right. Now we have that all the time, and it's great.
Yeah.
But ADCC has this special feeling of where it's like it's a tournament, and you get that championship belt feeling at the same time.
Do any of you guys know, has the rules set for ADCC changed a whole lot over the years? Because I haven't really paid much attention to the ADCC rule set until recently.
You know what, man? I don't know that it's changed a whole lot. I think the ADCC Opens have a slightly different feel. They're not the different rules, but obviously the time is different. Mm-hmm. I don't know that they've changed a whole lot. That'd be a good question.
Which is kind of wild, right? Because that's what I was thinking, and it's like that rule set's existed for so long, and now that it's actually pushing IBJJF into making changes in their own rule set.
And he's Mo's not so close-minded to be like, no, this is just how we do it, and if you don't like it, go.
Yeah.
There were some instances where some big-name jiu-jitsu guys were complaining about reffing or, how they were calling it, guys telling action, and the guy's legitimately working. And, Mo took all that. He saw that, and he's like, hey, I'm aware of this, and I will make the changes, and we will have a conversation about it, type of thing.
I think that's why they're growing really big, so fast, listening to the athletes.
You have to.
This guy willfully had a parent meeting with parents over Zoom. He literally
that sounds like a nightmare,
dude. He had parents of kids in the kids room. He's like, I'm gonna field parent questions. Mo Jasm took the time out of his friggin' time developing ADCC to do that. Wow. Man, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Like you're really that's like throwing yourself on the firing line.
Yep.
Yeah.
Parents are nuts. Parents are nuts, dude.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, parents are crazy. And I'm like
that's a tough one to navigate.
I'm gonna be nuts. Probably.
Yeah.
I'll probably be a
no,
little crazy.
No, I don't think you will because it's I think the parents
in a good way.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, dude, my kid got his first sickness the other day, and I was like, what's happening? What's wrong with him? Why can't he breathe normally? And I'm just freaking out. I'm like, I need to calm down, dude.
That's what they do, man.
Not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. No, I think the for me the toughest ones to navigate are the parents that don't train.
Yeah.
Those are the toughest ones. The ones that do train, they're all good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or the ones that did train in high school and haven't let go of it.
Right.
Oh, no.
They haven't let go of high school.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you what, you didn't see nothing until you seen wrestling parents, dude.
Oh, I bet.
Well, all three of you have taught kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've never done that because I'm like, no thanks. How do you guys deal with that? Like those kind of parents?
Beer. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you've seen me drink, right?
No, I'm just kidding.
I just think it's as simple as you got to know how to talk to people, and you can talk to certain individuals a certain way. And you just have to kind of tailor it for each person, which can be kind of exhausting. But it's just being a mature adult and having hard conversations.
Yeah.
And a lot of times too, like in the past, if they've been acting a certain way or behaving a certain way, maybe they weren't even aware of it until you brought it to light.
Right.
And they're like, oh, and then they're embarrassed about it, type of thing. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things. And then there's some parents who just no shame and, maybe they need to go find a new school.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that's reality, right? Yeah.
That's the reality of it. And having that conversation's tough. I've had it, and it's not easy.
Yeah, because I think coaching adults is hard enough.
Yeah. Well, when you get to a point where, you have to ask somebody to find another place for their kid to train, it's never the kid.
Yeah.
It's never, I mean, I'm not going to say it's never, but in my experience, it has not been the kid. It's been, the parents and I just don't see eye to eye. And
let's name some names.
Yeah. and they just need to find a place where, they have some commonality with a coach,
right,
and most of them have found that. So I'm happy for them. I just wasn't a good fit. That's all.
Yeah. Headache isn't worth $150 a month.
No, it's not.
Yeah, and I think that one thing that's important to keep in mind
way
is
more
that,
than
so like adults
For kids?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Dude,
dang.
I have 5 coaches on the mat for kids.
I've been waiting to have this converation with you, by the way. We need to
Yeah,
time.
we'll curb this, but I have 5 coaches on the mat for kids.
$500 a month, Aaron. I'm just kidding.
or an upfront, all at once, $100,000.
That's
and you can train for life.
Well, 6 months.
Man, I didn't realize I was training in the Beverly Hills. No, but one thing that's important to keep in mind is, okay, so like adult students walk in on their own accord.
Right.
They want to train there. Kids, typically, why are they training there? Because their parents put them in a program.
Yeah.
So kids, you have to kind of like, you have to woo these kids into caring about it organically, because right now they care about it because their parents care about it.
Yeah.
They care about it because maybe they just have friends, or maybe it's just something that's part of their day and they're not really in control of their own actions and decisions anyway, right? So therefore, and we talked about this a little bit when I was on here the first time, the turnover rate is incredibly high with children.
Oh, yeah.
And so parents, when you understand, okay, they brought their kid here to have me coach them. So why are you complaining about a place you brought your kid to?
Right.
Do you not trust me as a coach?
Right.
Because you're paying all this money, you don't trust me. It's like understanding that you're in the position of authority.
Right.
They're not in the position of authority.
Right.
You are relinquishing your authority as the person teaching your kid something right now. I'm not their parent, but I am the one teaching them for 1 hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just talking to Kelsey about this. Like with coaching adults, it's like I think one of the big differences between a good coach and a shitty coach is like a shitty coach, I think, is just like, I'm going to coach this way for everybody. I don't care who they are or what they are. It's like you kind of do have to tailor your the way you talk, because some people want to be pushed hard. They want you to be mean to them. Some people are softer than that, and they need you to kind of like hold their hand a little bit, and like knowing who you have to do that with. But like that's just with adult athletes. You have to do that with each kid, and then you have to do it with their parents.
Yeah,
because their parents are going to be different. It's like it just doubles the difficulty.
I think that makes
opinion.
a really good coach, though, is having that emotional maturity and being able to sense that or see that in other people.
Yeah.
Just being aware of it.
Yeah.
That makes a really good coach, because that's kind of like that hidden thing that no one really thinks about. Like, man, I'm so good at showing technique, but do you have interpersonal skills?
Right.
And that's huge. So that's when you have both of those together, that's what really makes a coach like, oh, wow, this guy's great. He's a great coach.
I feel like coach is a word that is used, like it's like a word that's used to apply to teacher, but a teacher is not necessarily a coach.
Right.
A coach is a leader. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? A coach is somebody who's in there with you and understands those interpersonal things.
Yeah. It's like being a mentor is part of that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And so like you can teach somebody something without having any emotional attachment to them. But I think when you're a coach, you do have an emotional attachment.
That's a good point.
You have something about that student. You want to see them succeed, not because you see that you taught them something.
Right.
It's because you care about their development.
Right. Yeah.
That's why I feel like for me, the most ideal situation I could possibly go into if I were to be a full-time coach I would want to coach serious athletes.
Yeah.
I would want to coach people who really want to win, who want to learn how to be a successful athlete.
You take it seriously. Yeah.
Yes, because I've been there and I've done all the steps and I didn't necessarily yet go out there and make it happen, but I know what it takes, and that's fun. Like seeing somebody like you, if I could be in somebody like you's corner, you know what I mean, and see you develop and see these different things and the managers, and like that would make me freak. It's like you're almost have a bunch of kids. You get to be a proud dad all the time.
100%, yeah.
I mean, we were talking about that earlier about just a guy losing a bunch of weight. Like that's a big fucking win.
So awesome.
That's a big win. I mean, it's not winning worlds, right?
Yeah.
But it's still like. Like different people have different goals, right? Some people are just trying to get into shape or learn a little self-defense or whatever it is, right? And it's like being able to see that and be a part of that is really, really cool.
Yeah. I feel like it's really hard to teach someone to lose weight. It's really it's different to coach someone to lose weight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's lifestyle changing.
Yeah.
Oh,
it is.
dude, it's
It
cool
is.
seeing someone really like you, and then you can like look back at a picture of them, and you're like, dude, what the heck is this? It's like not even the same person,
Right.
Yeah.
And then you get that rush of like pride, like you're like, yeah,
I was part of
man,
that. Yeah.
Man, I was there.
I have a student who he's lost about 50 pounds. Did his first tournament. He went to high school with Amy, and they always kept in touch. Like they had lunch together, stuff like that. And one day he decided he wanted to get in shape, so he's like, "Oh, I'm going to try this jiu-jitsu thing." And he walked in the door, and man, almost 2 years later, doing a tournament. I mean, this guy, like, if you grabbed his gi and he was on his knees, he would just fall over when he first walked through the door. You know what I mean? And now it's like, I saw him, it was a scrappy match. He lost, but I mean, it was a scrappy match.
Nice.
And I mean, I was so proud of him because all of the weight he's taking, he's just a different person. I mean, his shoulders are back, his head's up. He looks you in the eye. He always looked you in the eye, but I mean, there's just something different
Confidence,
about him now.
different confidence,
Beyond that, you know what I mean? So it's really cool. And I've seen that multiple times in people, and it's gratifying. It makes all the tough days worth it.
It's easy to forget that the medal is such a small part. Like, the
Yeah.
competition is a tiny, tiny little part of jiu-jitsu. And
Breaking the seal.
Potty break.
Potty break.
you're going to use the potty?
Yeah.
Aaron Wilson.
I'm the old one in the room, and he's getting a potty.
Couldn't hold it.
Yeah.
He must be nervous.
He's going to the Tequatorium.
All right, he's gone. Let's talk shit.
He's like,
Talk shit about
they're going to ask me more questions.
Finally.
They're going to ask me more questions about the UFC Fightpass Invitational. And I have to tell them Dana White's like, we're going to email him. Like, you
It's
say
the
one
best
more
organization
word.
there is.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. We're talking about coaching. Being the tournament is such a small portion.
But that was pretty much the end of my thought. But it's a small part, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like what you actually doing on a day-to-day basis with your students is the biggest thing. Like, I mean, there's so many different walks of life come through the door. Like we have Dr. Neil Morris is a naturopathic medical
is the
doctor.
man.
He is the man.
He is the man.
Okay.
I
And
love him.
I
Shout out to Dr. Neil.
Dr. Neil, Restore Health AZ. So, and you know what's crazy is what's so awesome about him is people don't even know. They don't even know him. You know what I mean? Like people are so obsessed with PRPs and they hear about stem cells, and there's so much stuff people don't know about stem cells. And I work with them as a marketing consultant. So I'm there on Fridays in the office, like being with them and everything like that. And they got Dr. Eugene Muro down there too, who's awesome. He's got to start training jiu-jitsu, dude.
Yeah. He's been saying he's going to for about 2 years now.
I know. I told him I was going to come on the podcast. He's like, with Alex Martinez. And he's like, he's going to try to get me to train.
100%.
But Dr. Neil, he, with PRP and everything sweeping the nation, especially with Joe Rogan's been promoting a lot of it too, with Ways to Well and everything down there. People are willing to go to Tijuana and get stem cells from Tijuana. Dude, you get a freaking blood clot doing that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
You go to your backyard in Greenfield and Guadalupe and get actual good treatment, and people don't even know that. They're willing to just go get surgery, or they're either get surgery or fly to Tijuana. It's like, dude, you don't have to do either of those
Either
things.
one. Yeah.
Just
As
go
someone who's had
to
blood-
Restore Health, man.
Yeah.
Someone who has blood clots, I don't recommend it.
Yeah. Agreed, man.
No,
Agreed.
That place is actually, I grew up in the neighborhood behind that place.
Well, just
go-
go back to your old neighborhood.
I go to a different place right now.
Well, this is
worth
just
it,
me
though.
saying if somebody is an actual expert in the field, because a lot of like knee orthos will be like, oh, I do PRP, but it's like they're not specialists. They don't know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? They might know what they're talking about a little bit, but PRP is something that can be vastly more complex, and it can be vastly more specific.
Yeah.
Like Neil doesn't even do, and if he does it in the knee, he's pretty well versed. But like if he goes somewhere else, he uses an ultrasound tech, comes in and guides it with a fine tooth comb,
it's
dude.
He finds the
It is-
tear.
He finds
Really
it,
cool.
Yeah.
diagnoses it, injects it, and there's other stuff, man, that a lot of people don't even know what V cells are. You guys know what V cells are?
Yeah, he's been talking to me about that.
So V cells so whenever people talk about stem cells, they're talking about mesocomal stem cells, which are just tissue regeneration, right?
He's been waiting all day to use that
check
word.
this out.
He's been waiting all day to use that word.
Mesocomal?
When he's clip that up.
Yeah.
That was impressive.
Hey, check this out.
stutter.
Look, mesocomal stem cells, tissue regeneration, right? V cells are small enough to pass through the capillaries in your entire body. It's prevalent in your what's it called? Your umbilical cord, right? And it's in babies. It produces eyesight, produces hearing. Dude, they literally had, and there's a testimony of this, they had a blind lady come in. Freaking 100% blind in one eye, 50% in the other. They did V cell therapy on her, and her eyesight was all the way back in the fully blind eye.
2020.
Like in that eye, she was looking at the camera like, I can see. And I was like, what in the world, dude? This is some freaking next level futuristic stuff happening.
I need to read about that.
I'm totally
in
gonna-
freaking Mesa.
Yeah.
Like Arizona, like man,
Restore
what did
Health
Mesa
AZ.
produce?
Yeah.
Filiberto's? You know?
Hey, late night, it's worth it. I'm just saying.
Dude,
Filiberto's, late
dude,
night.
Never worth it.
I'm
I
just
promise.
saying.
When I worked
How
at Whiskey
dare you.
Row, I
Well,
was
not the
going to
next
Filiberto's a
morning.
lot.
Not the next morning.
When I was security guard, Filiberto's was, I consumed that a little bit too.
He did my neck. He did PRP
Yeah.
on my neck, and man, made a huge difference.
Shout out Dr. Neil.
Yeah, man, great guy.
Maybe I'll go see him.
All I'm saying, hey, the guy does jiu-jitsu, so oftentimes you go to a doctor and you're like, man, I did this thing to my arm, and they're like, what the heck, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, cool, was it like this or this?
Yeah.
What kind of angle did they take? Okay, now I know how you got injured.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a...
That's why I go to Greg.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say PT.
Oh, yeah. You got to go to somebody who knows the sport,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah, Greg, Control Health. I'm sorry,
Control
Physical
health.
therapy.
Control Physical Therapy
Nice.
in
I can't believe you messed it
Scottsdale.
up.
He's actually
You know
he's actually
Greg?
looking to move closer to us.
Yes. And Greg's actually the first one who told me about Dr. Neil.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So
Very
he
nice.
actually recommended going there. I ended up going to a different place, but yeah, I definitely could use some. I've already had 2 rounds of PRP myself. I definitely would like to do some more though.
And for those of you that for those people that are new to jiu-jitsu and don't understand, like, minor injuries can become a big deal when you can't train, right? When you just can't train. So when I tore my meniscus, it's a 6-week bounce back. It's not the end of the world, but it sucks, right? Because you can't train. I had Dr. Neil lined up for therapy. I had Control Physical Therapy lined up. So they were actually communicating with each other on what I needed. You know what I mean? I had a team behind me, and we had our ortho retired.
Yeah, but now we can't get hurt.
Doc Z can't get hurt anymore.
Yeah,
But,
our ortho's
you know,
gone.
It's time to retire.
I was recommended to go to Doc Z too.
Yeah, Doc Z,
gone.
man.
Okay.
Yeah,
He
I was looking
retired.
up. Someone was like, "Hey, do you know a good ortho?" And I was like, "Yeah, let me get you his info." And they're like, "Oh, it's not there anymore."
Yeah,
That's
yeah, it's a
sad.
bummer,
That's
man.
sadness.
Yeah, so I got to find a new ortho. But yeah, when you have those kind of injuries where you want to get back on the mat as soon as possible. I was back on the mat in 3 weeks. I was
That's
teaching in
awesome,
3
dude.
weeks.
That's so good.
Yeah, dude. And these
So
guys,
good.
when you have a team like that, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a beautiful.
I mean,
thing.
that's what like after I popped my LCL, I had my surgery with Dr. Zeman.
Yeah.
And then I did all my PT with Greg, and I was back to like 100% training in 3 months. 2 months I was back on the mat.
Yeah.
3 months I was 100% training.
That's
that
wild.
is fantastic.
Got Danny back pretty quick too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing, right? Or
Danny O'Donnell?
Was it meniscus for Danny?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, Danny O'Donnell.
Danny O'Donnell had a meniscus tear.
Meniscus,
Yeah.
that's what it was.
I remember he messed up his knees, like freaking limping on it. He's in Paris right now, I believe.
Oh, that's
And
right.
IBJJF Europeans. That's one thing that is
Big
like
time.
So I'm so happy for Danny, but I'm also so sad because I can't do stuff with him anymore.
Yeah.
Because he's exclusive IBJJF, and I'm this freelance freaking Ronin,
Yeah.
and he's like, oh man, I can't do the open guard cast anymore. I'm
The
like,
only
"Oh."
thing you can do for Danny is taint the brand. Okay, that's the only. I'm just kidding. I'm
No.
just kidding.
He is doing an amazing
I
job.
don't think people realize this, that maybe have just met Danny over the past couple of years, through his job that he has now. But I knew Danny maybe 10 years ago when I first met him, and man, it was crazy. He would know like more about the guy I was going to compete against than I did. He's just so in tune with the scene,
Yeah.
and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, this guy, this and that," and then he'd bring up some matches that I had like at purple belt. Yeah, you fought this guy who won this and did that, and I was like, damn, Danny knows everybody in the sport
Yeah.
and every competitor, and
Yeah.
like he remembers matches like in detail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I have matches I don't even remember,
Yeah.
but like he
Yeah.
knows it's such a skill that he has.
He's a
It's special
professional.
to him.
Yeah.
And he's
He's a nerd. He's a jiu-jitsu nerd.
He's the
He's a
perfect person for the
professional.
job.
Yeah.
What
Just
people
loves it.
don't realize about Danny is that the IBJJF managed to wrap up the best journalist jiu-jitsu has ever had.
Yeah.
That's the reality. Is that he's the best. He's the best jiu-jitsu journalist.
Yeah.
He has been involved. Like that has been him always. We started the Open Guard cast at a coffee rush in January, and I was like, yeah, I'll start a podcast. And then I felt like, dude, I'm not ready for this. Like he is, you know what I mean? This guy was like, yeah, so I remember you fought this guy, and we're gonna start this, and I want to have this guest on, and he fought this guy. I'm just like, I don't even know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fought that guy. When did I fight that guy?
Yeah,
You
that
know?
was the same thing. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, who? Oh, okay.
He's like, you don't remember losing to that guy? I'm like, first of all, I don't like that you brought up a loss. First thing.
I was like, I
Actually-
would come back from a tournament and tell him about my tournament, and he would like know more about it than I did.
He's like, oh yeah, this
Yeah.
happened during that match.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I watched that. Yeah,
did that happen?
Actually, I want to ask that question. Like, can you guys think of a loss that was like a good thing for you? Like you walked away from it, you're like, okay, this is good.
110%.
Yeah.
I have a moment in
I have
my
multiple.
jiu-jitsu journey that completely.
Oh, you said journey.
Well,
Journey's okay. Journey's okay.
Tojo. it was my second fight to win. This is 2016. I just got my brown belt, like just got promoted, and Hanato Kanuto had just won the brown belt world, so he's about to get his black belt.
Yeah,
and I just got my brown.
Yeah,
so this is like right after Worlds. I took a fight. You were on that card. Fight to win in Vegas.
16?
Fight to win 16 in Vegas.
Dude,
I
that
fought
was
Kanuto
a long time ago.
and I
good.
got absolutely steamrolled and embarrassed like I've never been in my entire life.
Wow.
Dude, I remember that.
He beat the crap out of me every way that you could. He threw me.
Whoa.
I've never been thrown.
Yeah.
He threw me. I got airborne, landed, and bounced on the fight to win mat.
Damn.
We went out of bounds, and then he flying armbarred me.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I went out of the arena, and I just sat there, like looking at the strip, and I was just like, I suck. I have to change something.
Yeah.
And from then on out, like my entire approach for jiu-jitsu completely changed. And when I fought him at Third Coast Grappling 2022, that was supposed to be my vision quest. I was supposed to beat him. Like, that was
Vision quest.
supposed to be my moment.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be my moment. And
Redemption moment.
I did a pretty good job against him, and I lost in their overtime or whatever. But like
Yeah.
that ass whooping he gave me in 2016 completely changed
Wow.
my approach to jiu-jitsu.
What a glow up, though, to take him now to overtime.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
after, because I remember that match. I remember I really liked you back then, even though I feel like me and you didn't really know each other back then a whole lot. Like,
No,
we
were
competed
just like-
against each
we
other a
were
few
like the-
times.
We were just like the two local guys that would run into each other at tournaments.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, what's up, bro?
And then I was like, oh, I hope Aaron does good, dude. Hanato's good. And then I saw you get worked, and I was like, dang, dude, that guy's nuts. Like, that guy Hanato's good. Turns out, went out and friggin' started winning everything.
Yeah,
But,
and I didn't realize he'd been doing that to everyone at the time.
yeah,
Oh,
at the
shit.
time, I didn't know it either, dude. And then I started looking at his matches. I'm like, oh, that's not an Aaron.
Yeah,
that was not Aaron's fault. Like, that's just what's supposed to happen.
This guy's
But
a freak of nature.
yeah.
Wow.
For me, I think because I thought about a few losses, but the one that was big actually was at American Nationals 2018 in the very first round in the gi. I got footlocked in 15 seconds by Adrian Nez, and
Whoa.
and so I had beat him in tournament and like maybe 6-7 times in a row handily. Like, I never really struggled versus Adrian. And then I took this job at Whiskey Row as a security guard, and I worked there for 6 months in 2018. And I was like working the weekends, and I was trying to train during the day, and I was so like not focused on anything. I just was trying to make money because I thought I needed to and everything like that. And it really affected my jiu-jitsu. I didn't even want to be at American Nationals. I was like, I didn't even want to go. And so I went, and I fought in Nogi the day before, which I think it was Nogi the day before that.
Yeah,
time.
it is. Yeah.
I fought Nogi, I fought Hinaldo, and I lost to him again twice. And I was like, oh, that sucks. I don't like losing Hinaldo because he was mean back then. Yeah, he like wouldn't smile. He like would showboat when he beat me. And I'm like, dude, gosh, I get it, dude. You're better than me, you know? But then Adrian submitted me, and I remember I got off the mat, and I called my boss, and I quit on the spot. I was like, I quit. I can't do this anymore. And I was like, I'm putting in my 2 weeks right now.
You called from Vegas?
I got off the mat, went to the bleachers, grabbed my phone, called, and put in my 2 weeks.
Wow.
And then from there, that's when I fought Adrian again at Nogi Worlds that year, and then I beat him at Nogi Worlds, and I feel like it was a redemption.
I just want to
for
share
me.
this too, because I also, after I lost to Kanuto, I strong-armed my boss at the time I didn't quit, but the hours I was working, I wasn't training enough. So I strong-armed him and was like, if you can't give me hours Monday through Friday, certain time, I'm gone. And they ended up changing like an entire program in the place for me and changing the hours and kept me there. But I had a similar experience.
Yeah.
I was like, something has to give, and I'm not giving up on jiu-jitsu. So if I lose my job, that's what it is. I'll find something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For me, that was probably the most impactful loss for me.
And okay, so great segue. You said not training enough. What is training enough? What is that?
It's changed for me over the years.
Yeah. Okay.
I think, it becomes more of a professional sport,
Mhm.
and then you take a more professional approach to it. But I just think it's definitely like a nuanced. Oh, and he was talking shit about me peeing.
Yeah. Oh my
Unreal.
gosh.
30 seconds later, Tojo's going to pee.
I'm gonna change this whole setup so you
Do it. Do
Just-
it right now.
Dude, just lock the door. But yeah, I think for each individual, it's different. But for me personally, it's just being around other individuals that elevate my game. And then having enough rounds throughout the week, enough mat time. And then also, I'm so blessed that I get to go to work 10 days a month and train like a professional athlete and get paid for it.
Yeah.
So at work, I do all my strength and conditioning. I do some crazy stuff at work. And like a lot of the guys that I work out with at work, like, they're putting us through a program right now, and I'm part of like a health and wellness division in my fire department. well, they're putting us through a program where we're like certified trainers. So I'm getting that into my
Makes
belt.
sense.
So I can like pretty much essentially train myself. But like the guys I work with, they know their stuff too. So, you know, we're doing great strength conditioning there. And then I get off and I do as much jiu-jitsu as I can. And I have my hard rounds during the week, but then I also have my, you know, my rounds where I teach a class and I have these really tough, you know, blues, purples, and browns in my class that I'm able to work on stuff with. Not go 100% live rounds every day, but like I can pull and start working on my leg stuff that I'm like not so great at, or new stuff, and I can kind of play with it. So for me, it's not like one set thing. It's more of like what's my goal at the moment type of thing. You know, if I have something coming up, like a big event like the ADCC, I'm going to be doing a lot of wrestling, right? Yeah. But outside of that, I can't train like that all year round because I'll get hurt. Those are hard rounds. That's grueling wrestling, that style. So I think, you know, just like I said, for me personally, it's like whatever I'm going for, and then I'll kind of tailor it for like that specific promotion. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. What about you, Jake?
Well, Aaron is able to speak from a position of better authority on this right now because I am just now getting back into that like space. So my training right now looks like a heavy emphasis on putting on muscle right now. So not as much jiu-jitsu like cardio, because if I do a lot of cardio, maybe I have a hard time gaining the weight, but I'm eating 4,000 calories a day, about 400 grams of carbs, at least 130 grams of fat, and 300 grams of protein.
Holy, that's a lot of food, dude.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's every single day too. So
you got to find ways to cheat it, right? Like not cheat it, but like
every now and again. I mean,
calories.
so what I do is I try to save the weekends for me to have any like fast food or anything like that. So I don't do like a dirty bulk. I'm not like a Hollywood actor, you know.
Good.
So I can't, and I'm not taking any performance enhancing drugs either.
Okay.
So I am, you know,
make it a lot easier though.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
No, I would. But here's the thing: discipline is way easier than motivation.
100%. So
I just got to keep doing it, and I've gained in this bulk. I've gained so far 8 pounds. So I was walking around 208, and to get back to what is necessary for competition and what is necessary for training. Aaron had the best answer because it depends on the athlete. It depends on the circumstance. It depends on the event that you're going to. If I was doing ADCC, I would be doing a lot more wrestling. And to be honest, once the baby is able to sleep through the night, it's going to be a game changer because I'll actually be recovering better.
Yeah.
I'm locked in on the supplements and on the strength training and on the jiu-jitsu training and even the studying a little bit more, everything. But the sleep is like not there. It can't be. So that's hard. But once that's locked into place, I've actually talked to you a little bit. I plan on going to open mats and going to these trainings that they do, doing more no-gi. I want to be involved. I want to do more seminars and stuff like that too. But I want to be able to train at least, let's say there's, if you do 2 classes a day, that's pretty good. If you can do 2 classes a day, that's not always sustainable, I think, because you do have injuries and stuff like that. But if you could do 2 classes a day, I think is a good thing with some extracurricular cardio and a proper strength conditioning program. Obviously, a good diet.
Agreed.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
I don't plan on training more than two times a day.
Yeah.
I also got other stuff I'm doing too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And dude, Rolando Sampson won a brown belt world championship training twice a week, full-time college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hodger Gracie won multiple world championships. Granted, he was already Hodger Gracie. He was already established, but he was training with blue belts in England, man.
I don't think it's necessarily how many times training a day. It's like what you get out of the training session. You know what I mean? Because you could train 2 BS classes in a day and like, okay, how much better did you get? Or you went and did like one really hard 2-hour class. That's, it's equivalent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's all about your room and the guys you have with you. Like I have such a good room over there at Tim's on Fridays and Mondays, the comp class that we do for Soul Fighters with the guys from the lab. And, you know, you got Tinquino back in there now recovering from his injury. And I got Kyler Phillips, who's a top 10 UFC fighter, black belt, really solid guy. You know, I have Ezra, who beat Dorian, you know.
What time do you guys do that?
It's 10:30 Monday and Fridays.
10:30 Monday and Friday?
Yeah. I really wish Tim's Achilles wasn't gone right now because I think he'd be good for you size wise. I think it'd be a good.
Yeah.
Good
Well, I mean,
round.
anybody would be freaking good to train with now who's technical and who's able
We
to
just
do
don't
it.
have a lot of big guys right now. Is the only thing.
I forget that I'm a big guy now.
You're big, dude.
I used to be medium heavyweight, so you could still go with lightweights and it'd be
Yeah.
okay, you know. But now I'm freaking super heavyweight. That's not-
Every time I went against you in the open, I was like, every time we started rolling, it was when I realized like, oh, he's way bigger than me. Because I didn't feel that way. Like we were like hang out and be buddies. I didn't feel that way. And then I started rolling against you. I'm like, his arms are long.
Yeah.
His leg, I can't get past his legs. What the-
It's hard to tell unless you watch it on film. And then you're like, oh shit, I'm way smaller than that guy.
Dude, Victor
Yeah.
Hugo complained about my legs.
Did he?
He was like, man, I couldn't pass your legs. I'm like, shut up, dude. Friggin' you bullied me. What are you made me feel inferior as a man.
Yeah.
It's not fun at all. He body locked past me. But yeah, I'm excited to compete at the heavier weight class. I'll finally be the same size. I mean, Maragali's division, you know, like he's the top dog. It's super heavy.
Yeah.
So.
He was pretty cool to hang out with at Fightpass.
He's an interesting guy. I asked him, I'm like, Nicholas, are you ever going to compete in an IBJJF event, man? Like, what if you did the IBJJF Nogi Worlds? I think it'd be good. He's like, this tournament never going to help me. It's never going to add value to my life, so I'm never going to do it.
Wow.
I'm just like, never going to add value to your life. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, you know, I do this tournament, and I feel like I got a bigger tournament, bigger opportunities for me. So IBJJF's a small
Good
time.
accent.
And I'm like, IBJJF is small time.
Dude, he's a cool character, man. He's cooler than the other side of the pillow. He talks just like that, too.
Dude,
Yeah, he nailed it.
But man,
authenticity has a price, you know?
Yeah, he currently is calling out Craig Jones and Nick Rodriguez in the same night. He wants to fight them both.
I think that's ambitious.
Back to back?
Especially when
Yeah.
Craig Jones already beat you.
I still love it.
I
think it's
love
awesome.
it. I just don't think that he's Gordon. You know?
Yeah, but the progression he's taken since he started Nogi.
Yeah.
He's really leaps and bounds. Although going against Felipe's been losing a lot, and I don't know if that was like a good scale to grade him on. I want to see him. I would like to see him and Nick Rodriguez go.
What is
I
going
think
on
it's
with
a
Felipe?
Very
Pena,
good
though?
matchup.
I think he's been competing for freaking ever, dude. And he is super good. And I think that, man, he's like what? I mean, okay, so when you've been competing at the highest level of black belt for years and years and years, and I think he's older than you, Felipe is, right?
So yeah, he's around my age.
It's like around your age. It's like, imagine the wear and tear on that guy's body.
Yeah.
Training for fight camps is not the same. Even going against the next generation, Nicholas Margali is like my age. You know what I mean? Like Gordon Ryan's like 28 years old, 27 years old. I'm 26.
Yeah.
And so these guys, I think Felipe's probably slowing down a little bit. Like look at Hamilo Bahal. Like he's gone. He doesn't even compete anymore.
Yeah.
And he was not that much older than Felipe Pena, I don't think.
Wow.
So I think that Felipe is like naturally slowing down a little bit. He's still amazing. I mean, I don't think he should have beat Nicky Rodriguez at that one Who's Number One. I think that was Who's Number One like 19 or 18. But I think he's slowing down just a little bit.
Yeah.
And it should happen. I mean, shoot, you've been competing at that. Dude won ADCC. He actually lost in his division and then won the Open versus Gordon Ryan. He's beat Gordon 2 times.
Yeah.
It's like the only guy to have a positive record on Gordon Ryan.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's done it all, man.
He's done it all.
Yeah.
He's got nothing left to prove. That and Felipe Pena is an incredible competitor.
It could be that too. Just like, man, I've been there and done that in this sport.
That's true.
What's gonna fire me up when I've already kind of reached the pinnacle, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. ADCC, you would think, you know? I think ADCC 2024 is going to bring, like we thought 2022 was big, but 2024 is going to be like, you're going to see some people do some incredible, go to great lengths.
It's gonna be nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's on
gonna
social media. A lot of people.
Now, how
are
is that gonna
switching.
work with the Rotolos that have that contract with
Dude,
one?
I don't know, man. That's so weird. The one championship stuff and the flow stuff, I don't understand it. Like
Well, 'cause
some of the
like,
athletes go and
Tommy fights for one, but he also fights another promotion. So I'm just like, I know they have exclusive guys that they don't allow to fight outside of the promotion. Correct? Or am I wrong?
I don't know. I don't know what Chatri's doing down there, man. I know that it's like one is losing a bunch of money every single year, and there's a bunch of weird stuff happening with that company. I think that some athletes are exclusive and some aren't, maybe. Because Tommy, he's fought, everywhere, and then he fights in one. I know that Ty was fighting in one, and then he fought the IBJJF World Championship. He fights ADCC. I think as far as like flow grappling, Who's Number One goes, that's like where a contract breach would happen. I think it's like, it must be, you can't compete for another super fight show.
Right.
Maybe you can compete in another tournament, but not in a super fight show
And
because
it
you're
could be-
our
It
athlete.
could be specific per contract too.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It could. Well, I
You
mean,
think
look at
that's
Aljo.
short-sighted?
Aljo can compete UFC, and he can also do like the Fury grappling
That's
card
true.
because it's just a grappling thing.
Yeah, I'm not huge on these UFC guys doing grappling shows and then complaining about
Neither am I.
jiu-jitsu. It's like
Yeah.
he made this big thing. It's like, dude, you signed a contract to do jiu-jitsu and now you're complaining about the rule set. Like, what are you talking
Right.
about?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
They all
And
get
now
upset.
you're like making fun of it. It's like, dude, you know what this is.
Mhm.
Like your coaches are jiu-jitsu guys that are really good.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah, Merab Devashvili, he didn't like it either. He was complaining as well. And then Uriah Faber also complained. It's
I commented on the post. I was like, you signed a contract to play flag football, and you're mad when they told you that you couldn't tackle. That's honestly what it is, dude. It's ridiculous. It's like, then don't do jiu-jitsu then.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the sport.
Simple as that. Yeah.
Did you guys see Mikey get all up in arms about it?
Oh,
yeah. Dude, that was hard to watch, man. I love Mikey Musumeci, but he's like getting all sorts of offended. And I was just like, man, you know. And then Keenan Cornelius weighs in on it. You're like, dude, we're even bringing Keenan Cornelius out of the woodworks for this.
Dude, I trained with Mikey in Vegas one time. It was awesome. I just stumbled in, like, went there for to celebrate with my academy brothers. We just graduated the fire academy, and of course I brought my gi.
Yeah.
And we went out and partied the night before. I woke up early and went and trained at an open mat, and I didn't even know what I was getting myself into. And I walked into like the who's who of like open mat. Wow. It was stacked, and Mikey was in there, and I rolled with him, and he almost applauded me, you know. But like after the round, he was like, "Man, you have incredible balance." I just remember like feeling good about myself. Damn, Mikey said I had incredible, and he was the nicest. I mean, we talked for about 20 minutes, man. The nicest kid I ever met, man.
Wow.
But yeah, awesome. He's been going off on social media and off on Sneeko too. And
dude, that's weird. He's like calling Sneeko out for an MMA match. I think he's trying to do like the Jake Paul formula. Like, let me call out.
You think he's going that far?
I just don't think he understands.
I think that he's probably just doesn't understand.
Yeah.
But it is kind of that situation though a little bit. I'm not saying that Mikey had this freaking plan. I don't
go to the comment section on all of his posts. You'll sit there and laugh.
Yeah. So I went through one of them. But he's doing the face,
and he's like
super close. Intense, and yeah.
Are you familiar with Sneeko?
I have no idea who that guy is.
Oh, so like no one knows. Like he's like part of this like debatosphere, like on like streamers. He is the biggest tool ever.
He's like a low budget Andrew Tate.
Yeah, he's a Andrew Tate dick rider. Pardon my French.
We have Andrew Tate at home.
Yeah, like deal. He's awful. Like Mikey will piece him up, obviously.
Well,
but,
yeah,
but it's just like I can't believe it's like that's. Well, I can believe. I mean, Mikey like latched onto that and was just like you bringing this up to like bringing it on, putting it on your Instagram is just like making it bigger than it should have been. It's just like you should have just ignored it.
What about like how Sneeko's like, I'll fight you, Mikey, if you agree to get Mark Zuckerberg to talk to me for 1 hour about who really runs the world.
Yeah, shut the hell up. Like Mikey has that power, right?
Yeah, Mikey's like, hey Mark, will you please have a conversation?
Actually, honestly, now that Mark Zuckerberg's a jiu-jitsu dude now.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, actually, I was thinking if they would do it. If they would agree that the interview would happen after the fight, maybe. That way you can tune him up and he can be all bloodied up and, you know what I mean? Just
what is Mark going to say? Yeah, you know what, guys? You're right. Klaus Schwab really is the Antichrist. You know? You think he's really going to go out there and just expose everybody on Sneeko's freaking stream because of Mikey Musumeci? I don't think that's going to be how the world ends, guys. I think that it's going to be Mark Zuckerberg's going to go rejection.exe. He's a freaking robot, that guy is.
Yeah.
And then he's just like this beloved character in the jiu-jitsu community now. Everybody's just like, oh, Mark,
dude, somebody puts on a gi and they're like, oh, we love this guy.
Yeah, I'm like, you guys were just talking crap about him censoring people on Facebook 2 months ago. Now you guys are worshiping him. All right.
Yeah.
If we saw Joe Biden put a gi on, I think there'd be a lot more people going blue. You know what I mean? Like he'd be like, dude, he's such an inspiration. I saw him throw De La Hiva the other day. You know, like, dude, I think he can run another term.
Actually, that's a pretty. His guard's pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, you know what? For an old man who can't walk up steps, he really does have a nice butterfly guard.
Not bad. Oh my god.
We're not going there. I'm very sorry. Very sorry that I did that just now.
Got osteoporosis and his bones are gonna break the second he hits the mat.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Sleepy Joe.
No, that was good.
Hey. Yeah. I have like impressions.
I like it. Keep them coming, dude.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. No, but the thing about Musumeci making those videos, there's just been so many people have been getting away with like talking mad shit for so long. I mean, there's got to be some consequence, right? And Mikey's actually being kind of polite. It's like, he's not saying I'm going to whip your ass. Like, hey, let's do an MMA fight.
Yeah.
Let's
instead of just jumping him.
Yeah, he's not going to jump him. Yeah. But I mean, at will, he could just tune the guy up, like you said. But I don't know, it'd be much of a fight.
Oh, I just love people who are just like, well, yeah, Sneeko's bigger, whatever. All he has to do is hit him once. It's like,
no,
it's a lot harder to hit someone than you think it is.
And then you see Mikey go with Muhammad Ali, and Muhammad Ali's deeply struggling to even get a close guard pass on Mikey. You know, and you're like, well, actually, maybe Mikey knows what he's doing a little bit more.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, MMA, like, you're introducing yourself into an area, and this is maybe people don't agree with me, but like, anybody can get clipped with a lucky
Sure,
shot
absolutely.
and get knocked out. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? So when you say, hey, let's do an MMA fight, it's like, well, you are introducing a chance for him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He could close his eyes and throw that freaking here comes the boom right hand
Yeah.
and make it happen. I personally don't think that that's a great idea.
But if Mikey
You know what I mean?
throws his nerditude of like being a tactician of jiu-jitsu at like Muay Thai or boxing or whatever, I don't. There's no reason to think that he can't like
You
quickly.
called it his nerditude?
His nerditude.
Nerditude. Oh.
I'm being polite. You know
That's
what
good.
I'm thinking.
Didn't he train? Didn't he train in Thailand? Didn't he train in?
Yeah, he was training
Muay Thai?
Muay Thai with a couple of guys.
Would
out
you
there.
Well, he
say
can throw hands
Would
a
you
little
say
bit.
Mikey's the best guard in all of jiu-jitsu?
Best guard in all of jiu-jitsu is a very bold statement to make about any athlete, because you have to think about like Mikey. He has a control group of like the Roosterweight division is not especially known for like having incredible guard passers,
Right.
and I think he fought Bruno Malfacini one time.
Yeah.
So he fought the best guy at passing once, and every other time he kind of had his way with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
When you say you have a good guard, it can't just be offensive; it has to be defensive too. Like I would say that who has showcased a really great guard both offensively and defensively in jiu-jitsu. Lucas Valente is a good example, right? I think
Closed
even
guard is an absolute nightmare.
it's an absolute nightmare. If you look at like Shanji Hibera, well, okay, in active jiu-jitsu, Mikey's definitely a good example. But I think like when I think of a good guard, I do think of Lucas Valente a little bit. I think Ronaldo Jr. is the only guy in all of black belt to pass that guy's guard, and that was at Pan Am's in 2020 when Ronaldo Jr. won, I believe. So it's hard for me to say that Mikey has the best. He's a very, very good, incredible guard. But I think that, you know, Lucas Valente, at least in the gi, you know, in no gi, I don't know who'd have the best guard in no
He
gi.
did it pretty good at Nogi Worlds.
Well, yeah, for sure. He's intense, dude.
Yeah.
Him and his wife freaking just went out there and worked people.
Yep.
But yeah, because I mean, Mikey also got his guard passed by João Gabriel Souza. Sorry, João Gabriel, not the big one. He did get beat by Orlando as well, but he got João Gabriel Souza. He passed Mikey's guard at the Who's Number One Championship, and did he north-south choke him, or did he just? He didn't north-south choke Mikey, did he? I think he did. No, he
That
didn't.
was so long ago.
Did he north-south choke Mikey, or did he?
I don't remember.
I don't think so.
I remember when I commentated a show with Mikey. That was pretty interesting too. Did you ever know I did that? I commentated.
No,
a show.
it was
I didn't know
it was
that.
EUG, right?
It was EUG.
I did watch
commentated-
that. Yeah.
Dude, he got
Doesn't
so nervous because the mic was in house, so everybody could hear the commentary.
Oh,
and
wow.
he just, dude, as soon as he realized that, silent the rest of the show.
How come?
Because he was like, everybody, I know all these people.
Social
They're all-"
anxiety.
Dude, the people came and they were like coaching him through it. Like the Flow Grappling guys were like, hey, you just keep on talking. And you like, you know, you're good. No one's going to get offended. He's like, but I know all these people. These are my friends. What if they get mad at me for the things that I say?
Oh, wow.
And I'm
Okay.
like, Mikey, dude, you got to just be okay with that, man.
Yeah.
You got a job.
And you
do.
have to fight him. That's it.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but what if? Who cares?
Just call him out on Instagram.
And then I had this other guy, Richard Allen, who was with me too, and he didn't even do jiu-jitsu. He was just like a guy that was there. And so I'm like carrying this entire show on my very first ever show that I did. Like that was actually my show. You know?
Mm-hmm.
That was a nightmare.
Yeah.
It was awesome too. At the same time.
Did he finally loosen up and start talking, or did he just clam up the entire show?
He got a little looser toward the end, but he clammed up pretty hard.
That's rough.
Clammed up pretty hard. So
Which kind of like, you know, paved the way for you, right? You don't
A
have
little
to step over anybody else's toes.
well, here's the thing. That first show, I get there, and Hector Vasquez goes, "Hey, boss, so you're gonna do the MC, the post-fight interview, the host, and you're gonna commentate. Is that cool?" And I did the show for free. I agreed to do it for free. So I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And so I did I would MC with one mic, put it down, commentate with another mic, go up to the ring and do post-fight interviews, walk back, MC the next match. It was a process. And from that show, I had such a diverse like show that then I got other shows that wanted to hire me too. And yeah, so that show was very, very important for me.
Yeah,
As
it's a good opportunity.
Hector, sometimes he will message me and be like, "Don't forget about me, boss. I gave you your shot."
That's cool.
And I'm
That
like,
chaos
"I know,
turned
I
into an
know."
opportunity. See?
Yep.
Yeah.
They might have another. They were supposed to have another show, I think, in January, but it got canceled. I think they had a guy ring announce their last show who sounds just like Bruce Buffer. He's like known for doing a Bruce Buffer impression. It's the weirdest thing.
We have Bruce Buffer at home. Great value, Bruce
He's
Buffer.
great value Bruce Buffer.
That's still worth something.
You know what?
Yeah.
Great value Bruce Buffer is still better than you know.
He's got to chill with the suits, though. Those things are out of control. You seen those things? His suits?
Hey, man, listen.
Would you rock
if
that?
Bruce Buffer came, no, I would not. If Bruce Buffer came and announced a UFC Fight Pass Invitational, you would be like, dude, I love the suit, Bruce.
It would be
Great suit.
You'd be like, oh my gosh.
Single teardrop.
Yeah, a single teardrop. And then he'd be like, Bruce would be like, hey, Aaron Wilson, specifically you like my suit? And you'd go, you know what, Bruce, I love it, man.
It's the greatest suit I've
It's like
ever
it's
seen
purple
in my
and green.
life.
It's made from
We're
the
about the
skin.
same size.
It's made from the skin of 3 Komodo dragons. You're just like, cool, Bruce. I love you. Sorry.
He just keeps raising the bar with the suits. And
It is pretty
you think
intense.
you've seen enough, and then he brings out more. You're like, holy crap.
I feel like he's
it's
going to
his
have a
thing
heart
now.
attack on air.
Didn't he
one time.
tear his ACL on air?
Yes.
Yeah.
Didn't he, right?
I think
UFC
he
fight?
did. I think he did because he does this thing where he jumps.
Yes.
60.
Yeah.
This guy does a full like fight camp warm up. Like he literally warms up before he goes out there. He's like, like has like his like thing that he's doing. And he's got music, and I'm just like, dude, this guy gets fired up.
I mean, how
Awesome.
old is he?
I don't know.
I can't tell you how. I mean, I get chills every time it's a big fight and he's out there doing this.
Yeah.
thing, so
Yeah.
Oh,
it's-
yeah.
It's special. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Have you been to UFC show before?
I did. I went to the one here in Phoenix back in like 2015. Taquino actually fought Frankie Saenz on it. Jakar Close was on that as well. A guy I trained with. Who I can't remember. Oh, the headliner was BJ Penn against Jair Rodriguez.
Holy moly.
Yeah, that's the only one I've ever been to. And I sat lower level, but it was still really hard to see. I ended up watching on the screen the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
There were some good fights in the stands at that one.
Oh, was there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Great fights. My seat sucked.
I was chilling. It was fun for me.
No,
to
there were some
watch.
people tumbling. It was pretty awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I went to the shows that I went to. I didn't go to any in Arizona, I don't think. Man, which would have been awesome to go to the Footprint Center when Justin Gaethje fought Charles Oliveira. That'd have been
Dude,
fantastic.
yeah.
But I went to Rampage versus Rashad,
Ooh.
and I went to Dominic Cruz, Uriah Faber.
Oh, yeah.
I have his walkout T-shirt actually.
Do you?
Yeah, because
That's
we're
sick.
gonna for MMAZ we're gonna have a studio. We're gonna try to make it remotely close or remotely cool like this. But we're gonna have different things. I have Dominic Cruz's walkout T-shirt, and I have Seth Baczynski's Team Ortiz Ultimate Fighter T-shirt.
Nice.
Seth
cool.
Baczynski,
How-
dude. I love that guy, man.
Dude, that guy, the Polish Pistol. So Funny Farm is where he lives, and he has like a bunch of animals and goats and cows, and like my family's friends with his family, and we get a cow. So my family,
Nice.
my dad buys a cow and
Oh, I
gives my
actually-
family ground beef and stuff like that from
Wow.
Seth
All right.
Baczynski.
My buddies at work were actually trying to go like all 4 of us in on a cow, so I actually might need to hit him up, dude.
Yeah.
Hit him up, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Seth Baczynski, Funny Farm.
You know, I actually trained with Seth when I first started. I was 17 years old. I went to Southwest MMA when he was training there. I only trained for like a month because I was an idiot, but he was there, and I just remember him being like a friendly face of like a guy that was like talking to me and like giving me tips. And then I ran into him at Power 5 years later. He was
Oh,
still the
wow.
same guy, man.
Yeah.
He's incredible,
I mean, he was really at the time. He had 20 UFC fights. And he was really like knocking on the door at top 10, and he was I think at one point in time, he may have won like 6 or 7 in a row. He was really killing
Wow.
it, but he was just the same genuine dude all the way through. And he'd
Oh, yeah.
always like stop and talk to everybody and was funny and outgoing. And he was really one of the people that I think made that gym special, his personality.
Yeah.
Check this out. This guy would go around to different people, and he would try to convince people that I was gay. So this guy went to an ice cream shop, and a girl that I went to high school with. I went to high school with this girl,
Dude, he's like a comedian.
and
He's
she's
funny.
like, dude, he's like wearing an MMA t-shirt. She's like, oh, you did MMA? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, oh, I knew a guy who did MMA in high school. Oh, what was his name? Jake Watson. Oh man, crazy, that guy came out, huh? And then she'd be like, he's gay, and then he wouldn't. And this is what sucks. This guy would like walk out.
wouldn't even
and not
clear it
tell
up.
her.
He wouldn't even clear it
No,
up.
and then he would tell me, hey, I told this girl you were gay at the ice cream shop. And I'm like, did you tell her that I wasn't? Nope. I'm like, dude, you don't get it. Like, that could go on Facebook in a freaking group chat. Like,
Oh my
dude, you know that
God.
the whole time, Jake Watson, the
great.
freaking guy was super, like, I thought he was straight as an arrow, but turns out he's straight as a circle. You know? Like,
That's funny, man. Yeah, he was funny like that. He would rip on everybody, dude. It was great.
he did the same thing with Buffalo Wild Wings. He's like, I'm just trying to enjoy my my garlic flatbread or whatever I'm eating, and he just like goes to the waitress. You know this guy's gay? Like, and I'm like, why is it always me? I'm like, you're like freaking 15 people here, and he's like pointing across the table like that guy right
Oh my
there.
God.
You're just a kid.
I know. And then he came in to train, and I submitted him, and he was like, "Oh, I know what you're doing this. I know why you're taking this out of me." I would put it on.
He's like, "I made my bed."
Yeah, I made my. Yeah, that's
Dude,
exactly what he did.
I still remember sparring with you and Clayton Carpenter
Yeah.
a few times at Power back in the day when you guys were still going to be fighters, man.
Wow.
Yeah, you think you guys were maybe like 16, 17?
Yeah,
I
that was about.
I was like 21. And
It was
I'm
a year
what,
before I quit.
6 years older than you?
It was a year before I got burnt out, man. I
Yeah.
got so burnt out. That's all I was doing was just fighting all the time. And it was hard. It's hard to like want to, because you got to be a special kind of person to be willing to get punched in the face.
Well, and that's when we
punch in
had
the body.
that coach from NHB there, and we sparred every day. I don't know if you remember that. Dude.
You sparred every day?
Pretty much.
Yeah, it was a lot.
We sparred a lot, dude.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
And my stand up was terrible, so I was getting pieced up every day, and I hated MMA at the time.
Darian Caldwell was there at that time.
Dude, me and Darian Caldwell were getting a full on fights when we trained.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was bad.
Like pushing matches, like
Yeah.
it was. I mean, it was cool. It helped me grow, and I mean, if you don't know who Darian Caldwell is, he was an NCAA national champion.
Okay.
And a freak
Bellator.
show. He was a Bellator champ for years.
Wow.
He's a freak show, dude. The guy is super athletic, super talented. But I was like a 2-stripe blue belt. He had no jiu-jitsu, so I'm like triangling him and stuff, and he's getting pissed.
Yeah.
You know, and it only took him like 3 months to catch up. Right?
Yeah.
But at the time, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take advantage of this
Yeah.
and submit him a bunch. But yeah, we would get into it. A lot of those guys over there, we'd get into it when we were training. I think it's just the nature of it.
Yeah,
sparring
I'm
and
sure.
stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
Bunch of alpha males, you know.
Power was a really cool environment, man. It
Yeah.
was a different kind of gym, and then they just closed and said, you got a week to find a new place. We're closing this whole place down. And we're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I actually left a bag in that locker that I never got back. Gloves, shin pads, headgear, a bunch of probably like $500 worth of stuff. I guess they just cut the locks and like tossed it or gave it all away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a tragedy when that gym closed.
You know who was my locker mate right next to me was André Maracaba.
Nice.
So I talked to him every day when I went in for the pro class.
Yeah.
We always had a nice conversation with each other. He'd get so mad at me at sparring because I was like, all right, I'm going to spar, but I'm not going to use wrestling or jiu-jitsu. I just want to work on my stand-up. He'd be like, what the hell are you doing? You are a jiu-jitsu fighter. Take him down, submit him. And I'm like, oh, shit, all right, my bad.
Dude, that's when Miles Jury came in. And Miles Jury, they had me spar him. And I remember being like, I got to take this guy down. I got to like submit him. I didn't know he was a black belt. But I did that. I double legged him, and I submitted him with a knee bar. And then I got back up, and I thought, okay, the sparring round is over. Because what they did was they put me in the cage, just me and him. And they were like, you're going to do 3 5-minute rounds. Like, it's a fight. And I'm like, oh, like it's a fight. If I go out there and submit him, it's over. I don't have to fight him anymore. And they stand us back up, dude. And I blew my entire gas tank in that first. He beat the piss out of me for 2.5 rounds. I'm talking, he was getting creative. And it was like, I was like, these freaking Build-A-Bear combos on me right now. It's horrible, man.
Yeah, he was tough.
He was good.
I did enjoy grappling against him when he was there. It was always a good time. Gray Maynard used to beat the crap out of me there, dude. Yeah, strong as an ox. The strongest person under 200 pounds I've ever known in my life.
Wow.
That gym had a lot of great people coming through it, man. Chris Weidman went through there at one point. Luke Rockhold came in at one
Wow.
point. Ray Borg, who at the time wasn't even in the UFC. I don't even think he's a professional fighter yet.
Yeah.
But Clayton was beating up Ray Borg. And then we'd see on TV like years later,
fight
Ray
for the
Borg
title,
versus
man.
Demetrius Johnson for the freaking flyweight title.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, what in the... Didn't you? And Clayton's like, yeah, I fought that guy. and I beat him up, and he's really, really good now, you know?
He was a great. All those guys were cool training partners. Tim Means was a great training partner.
Dirty Bird.
They used to throw me in at him. He was fighting a black belt in jiu-jitsu. They're like, just take him down, submit him as many times as you can. Well, the part of it that sucked for me was he had small gloves on.
Oh, yeah.
He got to piece me up whenever he'd get up from a takedown. So I'm exhausted from trying to take this guy down. I'm just getting binked left and right. It was rough, dude.
Yeah, MMA's different.
I remember sitting in my car after those like hard sparring days and just like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Yeah,
This
dude.
is rough.
Yeah.
Just like in silence, you just like, I'm not gonna drive because I can't right now. I'm just gonna sit here and
I need to process
think about
day.
my life. And
How does one get
maybe
into?
I should go back to college.
But how does one get into that environment? Like, if you're just an amateur with 0 fights and you want to get into the game, I mean, you can't just walk in and be like, "Hey, I want to do this."
You
right?
gotta work your way up the chain. So yeah,
Okay.
you can just walk in, but you have to like show potential in like the lower classes, and then they would eventually, probably after a long time, unless you have a history of wrestling or you come in there with like a blue belt, or until you can hold your own in a pro class, you're going to be at just the regular run of the mill boxing, grappling classes with everybody
Gotcha.
else.
Okay.
If you have potential, or if you're a high level wrestler, or if you've fought before, they'll bump you up to the pro class.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And you got to think about like situations like Lovato Jr. or Lucas Barboza, who those guys are MMA fighters, or Buchecha. They came in with a jiu-jitsu pedigree that UFC fighters would go for their knowledge to help them with jiu-jitsu.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's like if Craig Jones is like, I want to do MMA, he could jump right into the pros because he's going to jump right into the pro class. Volkanovski and Adesanya are already consulting him for jiu-jitsu knowledge.
Yeah.
He can consult them for striking knowledge. So it's also a little bit of like who you know and how well you are known, I think, a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in those classes, in the pro class, were there several coaches that you could choose from to be like your coach, or was it just one guy and he's the coach and you guys are all under him?
Power was a mess.
Yeah, it was. There were some times where it was like I'm warming up the fight, and like Paul was there with me, so Paul's cornering me, and then it would be like whoever was available. Here's a shirt.
Wow.
Here's my walkout shirt.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, come out with me.
Yeah.
So,
That's rough.
When I was, because I keep in mind I was a teenager preparing to fight as an adult, like 2 years and I could be a pro fighter.
Wow.
That's what the trajectory was that I might do. I made the decision that I was like, no, André is going to oversee even my striking. Like, not train me in striking, but oversee who is doing my striking. Like, because I knew André would take the time and the care to actually make sure it happened. So like I had Ray Stafford was my boxing coach, this guy from Dublin, and he taught me like an Irish style of boxing, which I felt like really I liked. You know, I really liked showing like heavy body shots and stuff like that. And then I had Seton Gym, where now Nathan Hagberg, shout out to Nathan Hagberg,
Shout out to Nate.
He trains the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu program down at Seton with Thiago Azevedo. Great Muay Thai program, like a Thailand level Muay Thai program down there in Chandler.
It's been there forever, huh?
Oh yeah,
yeah, those guys.
It's
those guys know. I have a few friends that train there, and that place is legit.
Oh,
It's like Alma School and Chandler Boulevard or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I started commentating Muay Thai too, actually. I got involved in the Muay Thai scene.
Nice.
And so that's really, really fun too. But they got like guys like Shamik Hayes, who are now he's WBC amateur Muay Thai national champion.
Wow.
Like out of Seton Gym. And I was training there for Muay Thai, so I was doing like 2 different striking things. I had wrestling, a wrestling coach named Jeremy Mendoza, and then I would do the MMA class with the pros every now and again, but mostly it was jiu-jitsu. And like I said, it was a whole lot, but I had my hands in a lot of different pots. You know, you kind of got it with MMA. You got to train every discipline individually, and then also have an environment where you can do it all together. But then you got people like Sean Strickland who are saying, you know what, just spar every day. And you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You just spar every day. You'll be a UFC middleweight champion somehow and beat an actual technical kickboxer at kickboxing somehow. You know, like, how did that happen, dude? No one, I think, took a time to be like, that actually happened. We saw that in our own lifetime. A guy go out there with the iCarly Philly shell, you know, like just like this.
Dude, I was trying to explain it because I watched it with a bunch of firefighters. We had the stair climb event, and we went to the bar afterwards and watched it. And I was trying to explain to them, like, no, guys, this is the biggest upset in UFC history, potentially. Like, you don't understand what you're watching right now. This is insane. No one predicted this.
Yeah.
And they I mean, hopefully they understood, but I don't think they understood, like, the magnitude of, like, that upset and what it was for MMA.
I mean, he wasn't even supposed to fight. It was supposed to be Dricus.
Yeah.
Duplessis was supposed to fight, and he couldn't. And then the next guy couldn't. And then the next guy couldn't. So then they're like, well, I got Sean. It's fight number 4. Let's just have him out there because Israel wants to fight. Then he goes out there and freaking does that, dude.
Wow.
Apparently he's a nice guy, too.
I would
Crazy,
assume.
but
He
nice.
seems very genuine.
Yes.
Regardless. I heard him on Theo Vaughn's podcast, and
Strickland, is that what you're talking about?
Sean Strickland, very
Yeah.
genuine. Also very crazy, but
I was gonna say, nice guy.
seems like the type of guy that would give you a shirt off his back type of person, you know?
Yes.
Like, that's
Cool.
what he comes across as. And I mean, he started crying on the show, you know, sharing stories about his past. And I'm never gonna harp on anybody that comes from stuff like that. 'Cause that's a tough way to get brought up, and for him to be in the position he is now, after coming up in that upbringing, that's really cool, and that's a good person to rally behind. You know,
Yeah.
just hope
Absolutely.
he doesn't kill somebody or
Yeah.
you know, anything.
Well, that was a pretty common thing, you know, back in the day in boxing. You know, like the parts of, you know, the country that were the roughest always produced, like, you know, the best fighters. You know what I mean? That's why it changed progressively, and now it's just a little different. Now it's kind of like, I mean, if you want your 13-year-old to grow up to be a professional fighter, you can get them in the right situation to do so. You know, and back before then, I mean, you just fought until somebody saw your hands and they're like, hey, you got potential, kid.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's like a large aspect of like people are like, oh well, you know, we have all this money, we're gonna put it in this kid, he's gonna be great. But it's like there's just something that you have to have as a high level athlete, that other people don't have. And it's just a different gear and it's a different mindset. And it's just the ability not to quit. And just not everybody has it. And I don't necessarily know if it's anything that you can teach. I don't think you can teach it. I think you just have to have it like ingrained inside your DNA where it's like, I'm not going to quit. I'm the best. Like it's just something special.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes parents try to like, my kid's going to be great. It's like, okay, your kid's good, but like, I don't know if he has it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know if he has the it factor to like really stand out among, I mean, if it's not even it's the mindset, right? It's not anything athletic. It's not anything, it's something in their mind, like where they push themselves.
I think it's cultivated. I think that it's nurtured by experience. And like, if you think about like babies, they come out of the womb, they got like two things that they know. They have fear of falling because they'll start a reflex, and fear of loud noises. That's kind of it. That's what you're coming to the world having. Everything else, like Sean Strickland, for instance, his horrible circumstances produced a never quit attitude in him, right? But it also produced some other things. It produced some harmful things.
Right.
If we think about like what your kid is going to see and what your kid is going to grow up seeing is a dad who pushes himself consistently. You don't even need to tell him. You're not teaching him. You're showing him. Right. And he learns by watching. You know what I mean? Kids study way more than we think. It's almost scary. You know what I mean? And so as, again, coach or teacher, right? Teachers, you can't teach someone to not quit, but you can show them what not quitting looks like, and they will grow up in that environment. That's why I think people who grow up like, man, when you're 4 years old, you've been doing jiu-jitsu since you were 4 and somehow you're still in love with it, you're going to be pretty freaking good at jiu-jitsu and you're probably not going to quit. But I think it's less than like just like the nature of, it could be a little bit of genetics too. But I think it's nurturing.
Well, I think you're right. Like you were talking about, like, people growing up in those like shitty situations, quitting isn't an option for those people.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like a
all
rich
they
kid,
have.
he can quit. Yeah, I'll go do baseball.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why the it's very rare that you have the offspring of a world champion become a world champion.
Right.
In the striking arts, right? I mean, it's very rare. I mean,
I guess I'm talking
extremely rare.
I always go back to wrestling because that's where I learned the most watching growing up. I knew kids that were amazing wrestlers, and they've been wrestling since they were 4 years old. Their technique was unreal. They trained at all the best places. They went to all the best national tournaments. They were really good, and they would just get beat by some kid that started wrestling 30 years before, because maybe they didn't want it or what, but it's just like they didn't have like that want to win, and the other kid did. And that type of sport, MMA, jiu-jitsu, grappling, the mindset part of it so much, right? Where it's like you can literally beat somebody who's technically better than you, athletically better than you, just with the will and not giving up and putting the pace on them.
I mean, how many times have you seen that? Like a kid who's like coming up in jiu-jitsu in like the kids programs where you're like, that kid's talented, but they can never put it together in a tournament. It's that mindset. Right?
That's a good point. It is a mystery, man. Like bringing up somebody to either be able to conquer or to like they just have a habit of falling short.
I mean, at Gustavo's, we had everybody over there, back in the day, and it was like I would train with guys that were my same belt level, and like in training, man, they're tapping me out, or they're we're going back and forth, and then when it comes to competition time, they shell up and they're just not there, and I'm on the podium, and it's like, dude, why aren't you placing? Like you beat the crap out of me in practice, like it just doesn't make, one of those things that doesn't make sense. You see a lot of that.
I feel like it's like necessity is the best motivator, and so when you kind of what you were saying, when you realize when you can make up in your head that it's necessary for me to do everything I can to win a match, like necessary is a hard word. That's a serious word, and I think that if I relate it back to like the birth of my child. Now it is necessary that I have the absolute best I can possibly be. Because if I suck as a dad, he's gonna suck as a boy. You know what I mean? He's gonna suck as a dad. He's gonna suck as a man. He's gonna suck at everything if I suck. So I can't suck anymore.
It's pretty incredible what having a kid will motivate you to do. Like, I mean, as soon as I found out that we were pregnant and I was gonna be a dad, I immediately signed up for my EMT class, and I was a firefighter within 8 months, which is like unheard of. But like I was so motivated, like. I have to provide for this kid. And like what I'm doing now is not going to be enough. I need to be like a role model for him. So let me go after the career that I've always had in the back of my head and be this person for him. And that drove me through school, through interviews, through fire academy, all the way till I got out. My son was my motivation for it. So it's, I mean, you have a bunch of kids, and and you're now knowing that it's a beautiful thing. And I want to
I had thought about that. I had thought about joining the Fire Academy for a long time. I really did.
It's a pretty great career, dude. Like any other career, it has its pros and cons. You know, you just gotta weigh them out. But I love it. It's something special to me, and yeah, it's kind of hard to explain it. But there's a lot of parts about the job that that really fuel me and keep me going, because you know it's rewarding at a point, and then you work with some great guys, and you get to hang out at a bachelor pad 10 days a month and work out with them and make meals, and that part's cool.
Yeah.
But there's some parts that are rough. You know, it's hard being away from the family 2 days in a row.
You see some shit.
You see some stuff. You're exposed to stuff. There's a high risk for cancer. You know, the sleep deprivation sucks. But you know, I feel like it's good for me now, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm able to make everything work with it. So
Nice. Nice.
I think that would the only deterrent for me would be like the commentary, because if I'm doing a show, you know, twice a month sometimes,
Right.
3 times a month. Like in February, it'll be like, I'm going to do February 9th. I got to drive out to Costa Mesa for Who's Number One. And then I'm driving back that night to be in Arizona Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu League the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it was going to be in Costa Mesa.
It's going to be Flow Grappling is the Who's Number One. And then Arizona the next day, I got to be like there working for Gustavo, because they're talking about doing commentary for the Black Belts.
Oh, cool,
For the
man.
pro
Yeah.
division,
That's
Cool.
the
Sweet.
February
The pro division.
That's sweet.
The February one.
Yeah.
Do you hear about what they're doing for the adults?
Like the cash prize?
No. They're like at the end of the year, the number one, I believe the number one adult. I don't know if that's every belt level, but they're giving them a trip to Euros.
Oh.
Yeah. So you get a trip to Euros. So I that would entice me if I were that age to sign up and do the local tournament.
Well, now they're splitting it up. Now they're
No, I
splitting it
can't.
up to open between like a lightweight category and then a higher weight category. Correct?
That's nice.
Yeah.
I would cut to lightweight.
Yep.
For a little cash.
Why
I
not?
just wish more adult black belts signed up.
Yeah.
They stopped signing up, dude.
Yeah. I wonder why.
I did no gi.
Yeah.
But
That's cool.
I haven't done the gi yet. The last gi tournament I did actually was when I competed against you.
I really think it would boost.
That was a good match, by the way.
It was a good match. I wish I had it to watch. I don't remember a lot about it. I think
Do you remember the ending?
I think you triangled me.
No, but it was a good match.
Do you remember the ending? He goes.
So I
Well, no, he said, I don't really remember how it went. I'm like, well, let me remind you.
I beat Ramsey in my division,
Okay.
and then I don't think you had anyone in your division. So you're like,
No, I was sick.
okay. So the open was.
Yeah, I was like so glad I had nobody to fight but you. I was like, dude, I gotta fight Aaron.
I just
only.
remember I was trying to get people like, hey, he didn't have anyone in his division. Let's get the open going. Like, get a few guys in there. You know what I mean? Have some matches. Like, I didn't sign up to fight one guy,
Right.
but I think I was the only other one that signed up.
I remember Orlando Montero. I had to fight because the next week he was my first round match in the Long Beach Open.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
And I remember he was coming up to me. He was like, next week it's gonna be me and you. Next week, me and you, bro. It's gonna be awesome. Me and you. And I'm like, is this dude like
trying to big dog you?
he's trying to big dog me a little bit? And so I'm like, literally, I am sick. I'm like not feeling good. I can barely freaking breathe. And I'm like, oh gosh, dude. Now I gotta go. I don't even know if I'm gonna beat this guy. This guy's super good. He was ranked number 7 on Flow Grappling's worldwide rankings. I was ranked number 20. And I was like, okay, well, this is not exactly how it's supposed to go down.
Right.
But then I went out there and I beat him.
You beat the brakes off him.
I did. I beat him pretty handily.
You beat the
I
brakes
beat
off
him 12-8, and I gave up 6 points on purpose because I was tired. So I felt good about that.
That's good. Yeah.
He's great, dude.
He's awesome.
And he went out there. He had his awesome moment when Mikey was getting a little too big for his britches.
Yeah.
Thinking he could go win heavyweight.
Yeah.
And then Orlando just stuffed that idea.
Who was it that was like, maybe you should stay in your own weight division or something like that?
Yeah.
I don't remember who said that.
People
but
were
it's-
bothered a little bit because Mikey was like, oh, I think I can go out there and win heavyweight. And like, dang, dude, you are 125
Well, you remember
pounds
Kyle
talking
Terra
like
was
you-
talking about that? He was like, oh, I'm going to go do worlds at ultra heavy or something like that.
No.
And,
I've seen
and then
him-
he
I've
got
seen
hurt
him
and never
beat-
did it.
Kyle Terra beat Carlos Farias at a tournament one time. I saw that, and I was like, oh, that is crazy. That's
I saw
the
that too.
Opposite end of the freaking weight spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went out there and made it happen.
Well,
and it's really, really cool.
Dante Leon just won a big weight for Pans, right?
Dante, I think, is a different story because he's nuts. He is,
I'm
he's
like,
nuts.
this guy could be 190 pounds one week and 155 the next.
Wow.
Here's the thing about Dante. It's not far-fetched to think he could do that because of the kind. If you talk to that guy, like it's almost like if I ask him, "Hey Dante, dude, like you've done some crazy stuff. Tell me a little bit about your mindset." He'll act like it was a stupid question. He'd be like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, of course I can do it. You know? You're like, "Dang, that's odd." I remember one time I was like, "Hey man, how do I gain weight? Like, what is your strength and conditioning program like?" He's like, "Bro, eat a lot of food. I lift really hard. Idiot. I'm just like, we're not friends like that to where you can talk to me like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think we're that close, you know? He's just like, eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich before bed and freaking lift hard. You know, like I'm the idiot for asking.
I like peanut butter and jelly.
Shit.
I think that he has the
amazing.
perfect kind of game, and he takes very, very serious strength conditioning. Like,
Yeah.
if you've seen how he lifts, dude, he lifts some serious weight.
Yeah.
His deadlift is nuts, his squat is nuts, his bench is nuts, and he went out there to Devontae Johnson and he made it happen, man.
Yeah.
Against Devontae. Have you seen Devontae Johnson, dude? Have you seen him?
No.
He's a specimen.
He looks like
Yeah.
a linebacker in the NFL.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Nice guy, too. He's actually having a baby.
Oh.
He just announced it.
Nice. Nice.
Everyone's having babies.
Everyone did.
Yep. All right,
Took my
boys.
idea.
We've been going for 2.5 hours, and I want to make sure you guys get home to your families.
To your
Yes.
babies.
To your babies.
Yeah, you know, my wife is, she said that there is story time
Ooh,
happening right now.
There you
So
go.
They're at my baby's at my in-laws right now.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
That's
Okay.
where I'll be going.
Right on. Right on. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on, man. Thank you for putting it together.
It's like herding cats with you two.
You know what, dude? I am sorry. I am very sorry.
No.
When we do this again, it will not be this difficult.
It's
Yeah,
all
trust
good.
me.
It's all
No,
good.
well-
We made it happen.
We'll definitely do it again. I definitely want to do it after ADCC.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely want to do that. And then, after the trials. Are you doing the trials as well?
I will be commentating trials as well. Yeah.
Okay,
So I'll be
okay.
commentating trials. I even thought about competing at trials, if I'm being honest.
What the
I'm
hell?
gonna compete at the ADCC Worlds Open. They're going to do the ADCC Open before the Worlds in 2024.
Oh, that's right.
I'm going to do that for sure.
Are they doing it in the pyramid?
They're going to do it at T-Mobile.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Damn.
So there's going to be an ADCC Open at T-Mobile that you can go compete at.
dang.
Pretty cool. So I'm gonna definitely compete at that one. I want to go win that one.
Yeah,
Like,
that'd be great.
I feel like I
The last
really
one
could.
the last one was pretty game too.
Oh yeah, dude. I went to Florida and I
You thought you were ending this.
sorry.
No,
I went to ADCC Florida and I
All
won my
good.
first 2 matches, and then in the third match I gassed out. I went for an armbar, I popped the dude's arm, and I gassed out. I didn't have any cardio because I wasn't training at all. I just went to compete.
There's a theme. There's a common theme going on here. Sick, not training.
Yeah, I just like to compete.
All right.
It's fun to compete, but when I put it all together, I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, definitely.
But no, I can't wait to see you compete again, dude. I'm excited for how you've been going. Let's definitely collaborate on training and on some media stuff too. Yeah, that'd be good.
I'm down.
That'd be really, really good. I'll go down to your gym, give an interview, but I need to train with you guys because you guys are putting it together real, real well.
Yeah, it's a good room, dude.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, boys. Well, thank you guys for being on. Thank you guys for listening. And if you love the podcast, or even if you hate the podcast, please give us a thumbs up or thumbs down on Spotify. What do they call it? A review? A 5-star review?
Be sure to
1 star?
tell us what we're doing wrong.
Tell us what we're doing wrong. And yeah, let us know if we screwed anything up in the comments. I'm sure you'll be happy to do that. There's a lot of angry people on Facebook.
Well, that's
Angry.
where the angry people go.
Dude, yes.
that's-
YouTube
that's-
comments and Facebook.
That's
Bro.
That's Boomerville, USA. What do you
No, that's what I thought. But these are young people that are just angry.
Oh,
Facebook
probably-
is for people who still call it the Facebook.
The Facebook. That's right. Yeah.
I'm still on MySpace, so
You are not on MySpace.
That's
dude.
where his mixtape is.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for being on.
All right, thank you.
Yo.
All right. This episode of the BJJ Foxcast is brought to you by BioPro. BioPro is an all-natural alternative to prescription human growth hormone, which aids in recovery, anti-aging, metabolism, libido, immunity, skin health, cognition, sleep, and stress. Just 1 vial per day provides a substantial boost to all of these growth factors. Okay, so that's what they want me to say. Here's what I know as an aging grappler. I've been using BioPro Plus and the nighttime variant, BioPro Plus Cortisleep, for several months, and it feels like I've grown a third lung. My gas tank is noticeably bigger, my recovery is faster, and I'm back on the mats much quicker, not just between training sessions, but between rounds. Now you can get $30 off your first order of BioPro when you use the code FOXCAST at www.bioproteintech.com. That's code FOXCAST for $30 off your first order at www.bioproteintech.com. Thank you, BioPro.